So there I was, waking up with the worst headache of my life. Well, my new life, to the sound of someone trying to beat down the door like it owed them money. Open this door right now. And behind all that yelling, some soft little voice going, "Mama, please calm down. Sister would never do something like that. There must be a misunderstanding." Yeah, about that. Let me back up. I died. Again. But instead of staying dead like a normal person, I woke up in someone else's body. Not as a baby this time. Thankfully, I skipped the whole diaper phase. Small wins. My new identity. Pretty sweet on paper. Dad's a military commander. Mom's a teacher. 2 older brothers. We live in a fancy military compound. Jackpot, right? Wrong. See, a few days ago this girl named Xiaomei showed up, and she looked suspiciously like Mom did when she was young. Long story short, babies got swapped at birth. Xiaomei is the real daughter. I'm the knockoff. The counterfeit. The oops, wrong kid. And the original owner of this body? She panicked about getting shipped off to the countryside, so she listened to her trashy best friend's genius plan, drug her own second brother, and trap him into marriage. Because nothing says, "Please let me stay," like a felony. Plot twist. Whatever sketchy pills her friend gave her knocked the original's soul right out. And I moved in. Surprise, new tenant. So I wake up, and there's a man sleeping next to me. Supposedly my second brother. Cool. I figured I'd just explain the situation, clear the air, tell him, "Hey, I'm not trying to marry you. This was all a huge mistake." Then I actually looked at him. That's not my brother. That's Gu Zhuochen. Gu Zhuochen. This man is basically the final boss of entire military compound. Sure, he's got a face that could launch 1,000 ships, but he's also got a mouth sharp enough to sink them all. Mean, ruthless, and absolutely does not care if you're 3 years old or 80. He will throw hands equally. How did he end up in my brother's bed? What kind of nightmare difficulty setting is this? I shook him. "Hey, wake up. Help me out here, and I'll owe you one." Nothing. Not even a twitch. This man was sleeping like he'd been personally sedated by God. Then the lock clicked. The door burst open. 5 or 6 women stampeded in like it was Black Friday. The one leading the charge, my adoptive mother, came at my face with a slap that had her whole life's disappointment behind it. Now look, the old me might have taken that. But I'm not her. I caught that hand mid-swing. Mom was livid. "How could you do this? Scheming against your own brother?" "We raised a snake." I frowned. "Who said he's my brother?" I stepped aside and let everyone get a good look at the man in the bed. You could have heard a pin drop. No, you could have heard a pin think about dropping. Because that wasn't her precious son. That was Gu Zhuochen, the guy whose family could crush ours like a bug. Mom went from angry to terrified. So fast, I think she got whiplash. Then, one by one, the neighborhood gossip squad started bailing. "Oh, Xiaomei told me to come, but I just remembered I have a thing. Bye. I haven't bought groceries yet. Gotta go." I saw nothing. I was never here. I'm taking my kid to grandma's. Only one brave soul stayed long enough to lecture me and tell Gu Zhuochen he needed to take responsibility. Bold move, honestly. Respect. She also helpfully added that my sister, Xiaomei, was just worried about me and definitely didn't orchestrate this whole public humiliation. Sure, January. I turned to Mom and laid it out straight. "Mrs. Ling, I don't want to stay where I'm not wanted. I woke up here. I didn't plan this. I'll go back to the countryside. And for the record, I was a newborn when the baby swap happened. Not exactly my master plan." Xiaomei, bless her manipulative little heart, put on her sweetest face. "Sister, you can stay. There's plenty of room. The more the merrier." I looked her dead in the eye. Save the fake nice act. Mask, ripped off. Xiaomei shook. And then Mr. Sleeping Beauty himself finally decided to speak. Gu Zhuochen sat up, looked at me with those impossibly deep eyes, and said, "You slept with me. You gotta take responsibility." "But sir, I am having the worst day." So Mom, sorry, adoptive Mom, was standing there looking like she'd swallowed a lemon whole. On one hand, things between us were already a dumpster fire. On the other hand, I just got claimed by the human equivalent of a natural disaster. And Xuemei? Oh, she was practically glowing. Because apparently she knows something I don't. That Gu Zhuochen is going to die on a mission within 6 months. So, in her little reborn villain brain, me marrying him equals me becoming a widow. Merry Christmas to her, I guess. But let's rewind to the moment this man had the audacity to say I needed to take responsibility for him. I stared at him, full bug eyes. I'm the girl here. If anyone lost anything, it's me. I don't even care, so why are you making a big deal out of this? He looked at me with the most deadpan expression. You think only girls have their purity to protect? I have mine too. And I care about it. Very much. The look on his face literally said, if you back out now, you're officially trash. Then my second brother, Ling Yongming, came sprinting in like he'd just run a marathon, gasping for air. Turns out he woke up in some guest house and realized something had gone very wrong. He looked at Gu Zhuochen in the bed, then at me, and his brain clearly short-circuited. We need to wait for Dad to come home to discuss this, he said. Yushu can't decide something like this on her own. Now, any other day, I might have appreciated the concern. But I had the original owner's memories, and let me tell you, the second this family found out I wasn't blood-related, the love tap turned off. Dad went full silent treatment. Mom switched from my precious baby to that girl. The only one who was halfway decent was second brother, which is exactly why the original Yushu got manipulated into targeting him. Poor girl just didn't want to get shipped off to the countryside. She wasn't evil, just desperate and dumb. So when he told me I couldn't decide for myself?
Yeah, no.
My life, my decision. I turned to Gu Zhuochen.
Fine.
I'll take responsibility for you. Look, it wasn't romance. It was strategy. I needed out of this house, and this man was my exit door. A terrifying, unreasonably handsome exit door. Something flickered in his eyes. Amusement? Victory? Hard to tell with this guy, and he said, go pack your stuff. I'm taking you out of here right now. Then, because he's apparently also petty, he told the Ling family, whatever she takes, send me the bill. I see.
Cold.
I went to pack. And by pack, I mean I grabbed some textbooks because I'm still in my senior year of high school with college entrance exams coming up because of course I am, and a few summer outfits. 1 suitcase. 1 bag. That's it. See, ever since Xuemei showed up and reclaimed her throne as real daughter, I'd been moved from my nice bedroom to a tiny closet room next to the stairs. No window. Just me and my stuff crammed into bags like I was already halfway out the door. Second brother caught me on the way out. I'll bring the rest of your things once you're settled. Thanks, second brother, I said, and I meant it. He was the only one in this family who still treated me like a person. I knew if I left my stuff behind, Xuemei would donate my clothes to random people just to mess with me. That's her love language, passive-aggressive charity. Gu Zhuochen grabbed my bags, walked ahead, and I followed. The second I stepped outside the Ling family home, I felt this weight lift off my chest. Like I could finally breathe. We didn't walk far before I spotted a military green Jeep parked on the road. He opened the door and said, casual as ordering coffee, you'll stay at my place outside the compound first. Once I tell my family, we'll get married. Married? You have to be 20 to get married. I'm not old enough, huh? Loophole. I had this all figured out. Can't marry me if I'm underage. Big brain move. I hopped into the passenger seat like I'd done it 1,000 times, which, technically, the old Yushu had. Good thing, too, because if I'd fumbled with the door like someone who'd never been in a car, Mr. Eagle Eyes over there would have definitely noticed. He started the engine, pulled out of the compound, and then, because this man apparently has a memory like a steel trap, circled right back to the topic. We can get married anytime. The certificate can wait a couple years. Also, who told you the legal age is 20? Huh, right. Parallel world. Different laws. My 21st century knowledge was showing, and it was wrong. Then a giant hand landed on top of my head like I was a puppy. You said if I helped you, you'd agree to one request. Marriage is my request. I froze. You were awake the whole time, this man. This man. He lay there playing dead while I was getting ambushed by the neighborhood watch, and he was just collecting leverage? I smacked his hand off my head. Talk with your mouth, not your hands. Keep them to yourself. Then I immediately turned red, because wow, that sounded way more suggestive than I intended. I snuck a glance at him. He'd already pulled his hand back, driving like absolutely nothing happened. Face, stone.
Eyes, road.
Vibe. Professional chauffeur who definitely did not just hear what I said. How much farther? I asked, trying to fill the awkward silence. Almost there. Almost there. Took 30 minutes. We finally pulled into a narrow alley and stopped in front of a courtyard house. He unlocked the gate, and okay, I'll give him this, the place was gorgeous. Modern walls on the outside, traditional Chinese courtyard on the inside. Restored, well-maintained, the whole 9 yards. Main rooms, side rooms, wing rooms, spacious and airy. He led me to one of the main rooms. Bed, bamboo mat, thin blanket. Simple but clean. I was planning to use this place myself, he said a little too casually. Just got it set up. You can make do for now. Make do? Make do? Sir, in my previous life, I couldn't afford a bathroom in this neighborhood. This courtyard house would be worth a king's ransom in the future. I was doing a victory dance on the inside. I'll stay for a while, I said, keeping my cool. But I want to visit my birth parents at some point. Whatever happened with the baby swap, those people raised the original me. And now Xiaomei just waltzed back to the Ling family, leaving behind the couple who raised her. Someone should check on them. Visit them after we're married, he said. This man is a broken record about marriage. I narrowed my eyes at him. In my memories, he was second brother's friend. The original Yushu barely knew him. So, why was he so insistent on marrying me? People say you don't like women, I said, squinting. Are you trying to use me as a cover? Because with that face of yours, you could have your pick of wives. What I thought but didn't say. With that personality of yours, no sane woman would volunteer. He read my mind. I swear he did. Because he said, my temper's not great, and I'm always away on missions. Marrying me is basically being a married single woman. My ears perked up. So, you're saying you're never home? A husband who's never around? That's not a marriage, that's a dream. Of course. How many times have you seen me in the compound these past few years? He knew. He knew exactly what I wanted to hear, and he said it like he was reading my wish list. My voice went up half an octave with excitement. Fine, I'll marry you. But Gu Zhuochen was trying so hard not to look happy. I could practically see the victory fireworks going off behind those stoic eyes. But what? He asked, all casual, like his entire future wasn't hanging on my next sentence. We get married, but we're not sharing a bedroom. He blinked. I rushed to explain before he got the wrong idea. Look, I'm still in school. The college entrance exam is coming up. You can't exactly have me showing up to class pregnant, can you? What I was actually thinking, if I get into college, that's 4 more years of excuses. This man will never touch me. I am a genius.
Deal, he said.
Immediately.
No hesitación.
Like he was afraid I'd take it back if he gave me 3 more seconds to think. His logic was basically, lock her down first, figure out feelings later. Which, honestly, respect the strategy. Now here's the thing, apparently this man has a system. Like, a literal system he's bound to. Some mysterious, probably ridiculous reason why he has to marry me specifically. But, was he going to tell me that? Of course not. We weren't at the sharing supernatural secrets stage of our relationship yet. We were barely at the I know your last name stage. So, what do I need to do? I asked. Nothing. Just wait to be my bride, sir. Sir. The confidence on this man. But you're military, don't you need to file a marriage report or something? Not a problem. You focus on school. By the time exams are done, the paperwork should be approved. The way he said it made it sound like I was the one rushing to the altar. Excuse me? You're the one who proposed before breakfast.
But fine.
Small battles. I let it go. He gave me a tour of the courtyard. And honestly, the place kept getting better. There was a renovated bathroom. An actual, private indoor bathroom. Do you know what that means in this era? That means I don't have to squat over a hole with 6 strangers at the public toilet. I could have cried. The kitchen was fully stocked too, gas stove, pots, pans, rice, flour, seasonings. Everything. You really thought of everything, I said, genuinely impressed. This is our little home now. If anything's missing, we'll add it as we go. He said this like we'd been married for 10 years already. This man. You give him an inch, he builds a house on it and hangs up curtains. I forced a smile. Whatever makes you happy, he frowned. The person in that room was supposed to be your second brother. It ended up being me by accident.
Are you
Disappointed? Oh no. Was the scary man feeling insecure? Compared to my second brother, I'd rather it be you, I said quickly. And I meant it, not because of romance, but because I didn't want any more ties to the Ling family. Gu Zhuochen was a clean break. A terrifying, absurdly handsome clean break. Since I gave you my word, I won't go back on it, I added. Privately, I was thinking, this marriage has an expiration date. He's never home. We'll drift apart naturally. Easy peasy. As for why he was in my brother's room that night instead of my actual brother? Yeah, I was curious.
But I didn't ask.
Some mysteries are better left alone when the mystery is 6 feet of trained killer. Use that room for now, he said. If you don't like it, pick another one and set it up however you want. But do me a favor, set up a second room for me too. Otherwise, when I come back, I'll have to squeeze into your bed. I see what you did there, sir. Very smooth. Very transparent. 0 points for subtlety. Then he pulled out a stack of cash. Living expenses. Take it. I needed money. I wasn't going to be stupid about it. But I also wasn't going to be a freeloader. I'm borrowing this, I said, taking it. His face went cold. A man providing for his family isn't a loan. Okay, mister. Traditional values. We'll circle back to this argument later. It was almost noon, so I tried to change the subject. Do you know this area well? I want to buy groceries and cook you lunch. We're eating out. After lunch, I'll show you around the neighborhood. Turns out the kitchen uses one of those old gas stoves you have to light with a match. He didn't trust me not to blow up the house, which, fair, I'd never seen one before. The original Yushu apparently never cooked a day in her life, so at least my cluelessness was on brand. I was spending his money and living in his house, so arguing about lunch plans seemed petty. Sure, your call. We locked up and walked out together. No car this time, just strolling through the alley like a normal couple. We ran into some elderly neighbors almost immediately. Little Gu, first time seeing you bring a girl around. Is she your girlfriend? And this man, this absolute transformer of a man, suddenly switched personalities. Gone was the terrifying demon king of the military compound. In his place was a smiling, friendly human being. She's my fiancée. She'll be living here from now on. Keep an eye out for her, would you? The neighbors ate it up. Great taste, little Gu. She's so pretty. You two are a perfect match. I deployed my secret weapon. The sweet smile with dimple. Left cheek. Shallow. Devastating. The neighborhood aunties and uncles never stood a chance. Instant approval rating through the roof. We walked out of the alley and discovered the area was actually perfect for daily life. Grocery shop right outside. A little farther out, restaurants, noodle shops, breakfast joints, clothing stores. Street vendors selling vegetables, fruits, fish, meat, everything you'd need. Shopping here is really convenient, I said. That's exactly why I set up this house, he replied. Wait, you have other houses, he nodded. So marrying me isn't a bad deal. I didn't respond. I don't like owing people things. I'd rather earn my own way. He read the room and dropped the topic. Then someone called my name. Ling Yushu. What are you doing over here? I turned to see a round-faced, slightly chubby girl walking toward me with open arms, ready to link elbows like we were besties at a slumber party. I stepped back.
hard?
Yushu? Don't you recognize me? It's me, by Lily. Oh, I recognized her all right. I recognized her the second she started walking over. By Lily. My best friend. The one who gave the original Yushu those mystery pills. The pills that killed her. Looking at her face, though, she genuinely didn't seem to know her little pharmacological gift was lethal. If she did, she wouldn't be bouncing over to me like a golden retriever. Of course I know you, I said, keeping my voice level. If it wasn't for your brilliant advice, I wouldn't have had to leave the Ling family at all. I was furious. If we weren't on a public street, I would have slapped her into next Tuesday. The original Yushu had been nothing but generous to this girl, paying for everything 8 times out of 10 whenever they went out. And this was how she repaid her. Bai Lily pulled the concerned friend face. The Ling family is so heartless. If you've got nowhere to go, come stay at my house. My brother has always liked you. He'd be thrilled. Ah, there it was. Her brother. That was the real play. The original Yushu was easily pushed around and soft-aired, so Bai Lily thought she could just redirect me, like a lost puppy, straight into her brother's arms. Your brother? I said, incredulous.
Yeah.
I know he's a little shorter than you, but his feelings are real. She never finished that sentence. Because Gu Zhuochen materialized behind me like a final boss entering the cutscene. Shut your mouth, he said, voice cold enough to freeze the street vendor's fish. Yushu is my wife. Your brother can think about her when he's tired of being alive. Or are you trying to get him killed so you can inherit your parents' money? See, we'd been walking with him slightly behind me, so Bai Lily hadn't even realized we were together. Gigi Gu Zhuochen. Her round little face went white as a sheet.
Yeah.
That's right. My terrifying fake husband-to-be just went full guard dog mode, and honestly, I wasn't mad about it. Bai Lily's eyes were doing that panicky little dance, the kind you can't fake. She was genuinely terrified of Gu Zhuochen and, honestly, valid. This man does not believe in chivalry. He believes in equal opportunity violence. But I wasn't going to let him handle my business. Bai Lily, I said, voice steady, from this moment on, we are not friends. Don't show your face around me again. And all those times you mooched off me, I'll be collecting. With interest, she had the nerve, the absolute audacity, to play the victim card. Yushu, I was just looking out for you. You don't have to cut me off. I'm your best friend, but I could see the gears turning behind those beady little eyes. She'd just heard Gu Zhuochen call me his wife. And now she was thinking, if Yushu marries into the Gu family, maybe I can ride those coattails. Oh, honey.
No.
I stepped closer, leaned in right next to her ear, and dropped my voice low. Real low. In my past life, I trained in voice acting, so when I want to sound like a ghost whispering from the underworld, I can deliver. That medicine you gave me? It sent me straight to the gates of hell. If my name hadn't been missing from the death registry, I wouldn't be standing here talking to you. Bai Lily's neck retracted into her shoulders like a startled turtle. I didn't mean to hurt you.
I swear.
Everything I did was for your sake. Smack. I slapped her so hard my own hand stung. Where did you get those pills? She clutched her face, eyes wide. Ling Yushu, have you lost your mind? Not talking?
Fine.
Here's the other cheek. Smack. Even louder than the first one. Newton's third law is real, folks. Equal and opposite reaction. My palm was throbbing. But so was her face, so we were even. This woman was the textbook definition of needs to be slapped. If I didn't do it, she'd just keep showing up like a cockroach. Plus, and this was important, if I hadn't stepped in, Gu Zhuochen was about to. I could see the veins popping on his forearms. The man was physically restraining himself from launching this girl into orbit. And here's the thing, he's military. If he hits a civilian woman on a public street, that's a whole disciplinary hearing. His record is already a mess. Second brother told me all his achievements basically get cancelled out by his incidents. The army simultaneously loves him and wants to strangle him. Classic problem child energy. I didn't even realize it at the time, but I was protecting him.
Me.
Protecting the scariest man in the military compound. Character development is wild. Bai Lily ran off, clutching her face like a soap opera actress. And because she's the worst, she made sure to run in a way that made me look like the aggressor. Public street, shops everywhere, vendors watching. All anyone saw was me smacking a crying girl. The looks I was getting?
Pure disapproval.
Classic Bai Lily. Even while fleeing, she was setting traps. If I were the original Yushu, I would have just stood there and taken it. Swallowed the humiliation. But I'm not her. So I turned to the crowd and said, loud enough for everyone to hear. Can you believe some people? She sees my fiancé is good-looking and comes over demanding I hand him over. Says if I'm really her friend, I should give him up. Unbelievable, the shift was instant. Kids these days. see something good, and they want to steal it. She looked so sweet too. Who knew she'd pull something that shameless? Disgusting. You can never judge a person by their face. Keep your guard up, girl. A friend like that? You don't just unfriend her. You go talk to her parents. What kind of upbringing produces that? Music to my ears. Every single comment was dragging by Lily through the mud. I stood there soaking it in like a plant in sunshine. I believe in instant karma. You mess with me, I mess with your reputation. And next time she shows up, same treatment. My hands will recover. I was already mentally planning phase 2. Corner her somewhere private, throw a sack over her head, and find out exactly where she got those pills. A girl's gotta have goals. Then Gu Zhuochen took my hand, the one I'd been slapping with, and turned it over. My palm was bright red. Your hand's all swollen. You should have let me do it. I glared at him. Do you forget what your job is? Out of sight is one thing, but on a public street? I'm the better option here. He's still only a company commander, by the way. Should be way higher by now, but all his merits keep getting eaten up by his disciplinary demerits. The military brass deals with him the way you deal with a cactus. Useful, but painful to handle. Are you worried about me? His mouth curled up into what might have been the most annoying smile I've ever seen. For the record, he was raised by his grandfather because his grandma had some fortune teller say he couldn't live with his parents or siblings. Grandpa used military-style discipline, strict, cold, 0 hugs. No wonder this man turned out prickly. You raise a kid like a soldier and then act surprised when he rebels? Please. You're about to get married, I said flatly. Maybe have some ambition? Or, do you want to stay a company commander forever? He flashed me a full set of white teeth. I look forward to your continued supervision. Ugh. Why did that almost sound cute? Moving on. We found a little restaurant. Gu Zhuochen walked in like he owned the place. The owner, a man pushing 50, greeted him warmly. Little Gu, here for a meal. Yeah. The usual 3 dishes, plus sweet and sour ribs, 2 bowls of rice. He walked to a window table and pulled out a chair for me. Sit here. You can see the street. I sat.
Good view.
I approved. How do you know I like sweet and sour ribs? Did second brother tell you? He gave me a look. You stared at that menu on the wall for 2 extra seconds when we walked in. Lucky guess. This man noticed where my eyes lingered for 2 seconds.
2
seconds. That's either incredibly attentive or mildly terrifying. Possibly both. The food came fast. The girl who brought it over looked a few years older than me, and she was doing a very poor job of hiding her interest in my future husband. Brother Gu, I've never seen her before. Who is she? She studied me while setting down the plates like she was memorizing my face for a police sketch. Gu Zhuochen, who apparently has radar for unwanted romantic attention, saw an opportunity. Turns out one reason he brought me here, specifically, was to nip this particular flower bud. This is my fiancé, Ling Yushu. We're getting married and moving in nearby. Just showing her around. Oh, she's really pretty. The girl set down the food, said, "Enjoy your meal," and walked away to serve other tables. Credit where it's due. She took it gracefully. No dirty looks, no passive aggression. Just accepted it and moved on. I respected that. Thinking someone is attractive isn't a crime. What matters is what you do about it, and she chose dignity. Back in the kitchen, the owner was having a heart-to-heart with his daughter. I told you our family isn't in his league. I know, Dad. I'll go meet that guy you mentioned. The old man practically deflated with relief. Good girl. Let me send them a free dish. It's the first time little Gu has ever brought someone here, so that's how I randomly received a bonus dish I never ordered. The perks of being the terrifying man's fiancé were starting to add up. After lunch, I spotted a second-hand furniture shop and dragged Gu Zhuochen inside. I was on a mission, carefully inspecting every piece. Most of the rooms are empty. Used furniture is cheap. I can furnish the whole place for nothing. Don't worry about money. We can buy new stuff. He thought I was being frugal for his sake.
Huh.
That's adorable. But no, I had my own reasons. And they had nothing to do with saving his money. I had my reasons for wanting second-hand furniture, and saving Gu Zhuochen's money wasn't one of them. It's just temporary, I told him. This isn't our wedding house or anything. I picked out a table and chairs, a wardrobe, one of those fancy daybed couch things, and a few small stools. Total damage. Under 80 yuan. Bargain queen status. Achieved. Think they'll deliver if I buy this much? Gu Zhuochen, who apparently understands how capitalism works better than I do, said, offer to pay for delivery. Sure enough, free delivery?
No.
Paid delivery? Right away, miss. Money talks. Even in a socialist paradise. You take the furniture home, I told Gu Zhuochen. I want to look around some more. Translation, please leave so I can do suspicious things without your eagle eyes watching. He knew I was getting rid of him.
He went anyway.
Be safe. Come home early. Of course, I said, nodding like a good little fiancé. What I was thinking, if anyone messes with me, they're the ones who should worry about safety. The second he was gone, I walked over to a pile of broken-down junk furniture. Boss, how much for this stuff? Now, the shop owner wasn't stupid. He'd already sorted out anything made of good wood. The stuff I'd bought earlier was decent quality, but nothing special. This pile? Literal firewood candidates. You want that? He squinted at me, suddenly suspicious he'd missed something. Nah, just asking. I picked up a small makeup box, a zhuanglian, like I was casually browsing. This is cute. Could hold jewelry. How much? There were several similar boxes nearby, all unremarkable looking. 10 yuan if you're serious. I put it down instantly. Zero hesitation. Oscar-worthy disinterest. A whole wardrobe costs less than that. You're not serious about selling, are you, boss? The man crumbled under the withering gaze of a teenage girl. Fine, 5 yuan. Take it. Deal. I whipped out the money so fast you'd think I was afraid he'd change his mind. I'll be back for more. You've got a loyal customer now. I said it so sweetly that the man actually felt guilty for charging me 5 yuan. Beautiful. That pile of junk over there is worthless. I was going to chop it for firewood. 20 yuan and you can haul all of it away, boss. You just want me to pay for the delivery truck again, don't you? He laughed nervously. Haha. Don't say the quiet part out loud, kid. Think of it as helping me clear floor space. I sighed dramatically, like I was doing him the world's biggest favor. You seem like a straightforward guy. Fine. I'll help you out. I paid the delivery guy 5 yuan to haul the junk pile to the courtyard, then headed off to the real destination. A market the shop owner had mentioned. Used to be a black market, now it's semi-legal. The kind of place where treasures hide under layers of grime and bad pricing. But first, the makeup box. See, that little box? I've used it before. In a previous life. Let me explain. Before this body, I've lived through 10 different lives.
10.
All reincarnations. All starting as babies. This is the first time I've ever gotten a pre-owned body, like a certified pre-owned sedan, but with more trauma. And every single life, I die before 30. Every
time.
My personal theory is that I'm simply too brilliant and beautiful in every life, and the heavens get jealous. It's the only logical explanation. But the real problem is this. Every transmigration story I've ever lived through, the main character gets a cheat code. A system. A magical space. A talking ring. Something. And what did I get across 10 lives? Nothing.
Zip. Nada.
The universe gave me premium difficulty with starter pack equipment. So when I spotted that makeup box in the junk pile, my heart nearly exploded. Because inside it, hidden behind a secret compartment, was something I'd stashed away lifetimes ago. I found a deserted alley and started tapping the bottom of the box in a specific pattern.
Top, 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 top. Rhythmic. Almost musical.
On the 20th tap, a hidden seam popped open. I pried it apart. Inside, a jade pendant, completely black. The cord attached to it disintegrated the moment I touched it, crumbled to dust like it had been waiting centuries to retire. I bit my finger and dripped blood onto it. Now, I know what you're thinking. That's the most cliché transmigration move in the book. And you're right. But here's the thing. When I first got this jade, I hadn't been to a modern world yet. I didn't know about systems or pocket dimensions. I didn't know blood binding was a thing. I was just winging it across multiple lifetimes. Like a very lost, very mortal pigeon. The jade absorbed my blood. Then it started changing color. The black was fading, peeling away. Underneath, the stone was turning translucent, almost glass clear. I felt nothing. No power surge. No mystical connection.
No dramatic veje.
Was this thing a fake? Then, just as the last bit of black was about to disappear, I noticed something at the bottom of the pendant, a hint of green. I leaned in closer, squinting, trying to see pain. My eyes. Like someone jabbed hot needles into both eyeballs simultaneously. I slammed my hands over my face. And while I was busy not seeing anything, the jade touched my forehead, turned into a beam of white light, and vanished. So did the alley. I was standing in. Somewhere else. White fog everywhere. Visibility, about 1 meter in every direction. The mist swirled around me and, this is the weird part, started flowing into my eyes. The pain faded. My vision cleared. When I opened my eyes again, everything was normal. Except I was definitely not in the alley anymore. I was in some kind of pocket dimension. My cheat code. After 10 lives and who knows how many centuries. The golden finger has arrived. Fashionably late. I mentally whispered, exit and pop. Back in the alley. Looked around. Still deserted. Good choice of location. Past me. Very responsible. The jade pendant was gone. Not on the ground, not in my hands, not anywhere. I tried going back in. Enter. It worked. Tried it a few more times.
In, out, in, out.
The space was stable. The jade must have merged with
Me?
or dissolved, or ascended to jade heaven. Either way, the pocket dimension was mine now. I tossed the makeup box inside, my first official storage item, and headed to the market. It was midday in summer, so the place was quieter than it would be in the mornings or evenings. Only the stall owners with permanent spots or makeshift canopies were still open. I stopped at a stall covered by a tarp. The display was a glorious mess. Old books, cracked pots, grimy bowls, and things so dirty you couldn't tell what they originally were. The owner was dozing in a folding chair. He cracked one eye open, saw I was a teenage girl, and went right back to napping.
Perfect.
I didn't want him hovering anyway. Because here's the thing, my eyes were different now. The mist that flowed into them, it gave me something. I couldn't appraise items through years of expert study, but I could just
See.
I looked at objects and I knew. Real or fake. Valuable or trash. Like having an antique scanner built into my eyeballs. My new superpower. My golden finger. My long, overdue cheat code. I zeroed in on 3 items. A copper coin, a peace medallion in absolutely terrible condition, and an old book that was a forgery but with about 80% authentic content copied into it. Boss, how much for this book? He sat up like a spring-loaded salesman. 100. Firm. He said firm, with his whole chest. I stood up from my crouch, turned around, and started walking away without a word. Wait. Come back, little miss. Name your price. All that firmness evaporated in 2 seconds flat. I held up 2 fingers. 20? Fine, 20. 2. As in 2 yuan. 20 is highway robbery unless you let me pick 2 more things from the stall. Depends what you pick. I grabbed the copper coin and the beat-up peace medallion. Both were things he'd gotten as throwaway extras when buying stuff in the countryside. The book was bulk wholesale. His total cost for all 3? Less than 1 yuan. Even so, he put on the performance of a lifetime. Clutching his chest, wincing, shaking his head. Little miss, you really know how to pick 'em. You grabbed the 2 most valuable things on my whole table. The funny part? He accidentally told the truth. He just didn't know it. Fine, I'll pick 2 different things instead. I put back the copper coin and the peace medallion immediately, reaching for some random junk. The stall owner panicked. He shoved a bag at me with my original picks and the book already inside.
20 yuan.
Total. Final. Please stop negotiating, you're killing me. I pulled out a 20 and handed it over, but didn't let go. My fingers were clamped on that bill like it was my firstborn child. He had to physically stuff the bag into my other hand before I'd release the money. Method acting. We both walked away happy, him thinking he'd hustled a teenager, me knowing I'd just bought a small fortune for the price of lunch. I hit a few more stalls, picked up a couple more pieces. Then I switched streets and walked into one of the most prestigious antique shops in the city. Sold one item. 3,000 yuan.
Cash.
Not bad for a day's work. Eat your heart out, Wall Street. When I got home with groceries, Gu Zhuochen was already gone. He'd left a note. Emergency mission. Don't use the stove. Eat out. I'll teach you the gas stove when I'm back. He also left 2 phone numbers. One for his military unit. One for a friend I could call if I needed help. I'll admit it. For a terrifying, emotionally stunted combat machine, this man was a surprisingly thoughtful almost husband. Notes, phone numbers, contingency plans. He probably would have left a packed lunch if he'd had time. Not that I was catching feelings. This whole arrangement was purely strategic. Besides, I was pretty sure we were both playing each other. The question was just who was playing whom harder. Oh, and he left me a brand new women's bicycle in the courtyard. For school.
School. Right.
I'd taken 3 days off, and tomorrow was back to class day. Because in case everyone forgot, I am a high school senior. With college entrance exams approaching. While juggling a fake marriage, a secret pocket dimension, and antique dealing on the side. My life is a circus, and I am every clown. I flipped through the original Yushu's textbooks. Her grades were medium, very aggressively average. But when I looked at the material, easy. Across 10 lifetimes, I've learned more than most professors. The tricky part wasn't passing, it was not acing everything so dramatically that people got suspicious. I needed to gradually improve, build a believable arc, so when I crushed the exam, nobody would cry foul. Strategic mediocrity. It's harder than it sounds. Now about my new eyes. Ever since that jade incident in the alley, my vision had been upgraded. At the antique shop, I confirmed it. I could see through objects. Not like X-ray vision, more like I could perceive the true nature and material composition of things. Fake jade? I'd know. Real gold under rust? Visible. I pulled out the ugly piece medallion I'd bought. Lit a candle with a match, look at me, using fire like a cavewoman. Held the medallion over the flame, then quickly wiped it with a cloth. The grimy outer layer peeled away. Underneath? Mutton fat jade. The good stuff. Warm white, smooth, luminous. The kind of jade that makes collectors weep. I'd been planning to give it to Gu Zhuochen, but now, holding this gorgeous thing in my hands, that I might keep it. For research purposes. Scientific observation. Personal quality control. The copper coin was staying with me too. Private collection. The other items I'd bought were cleaned up and stored. I'd sell them one at a time whenever I needed cash. Antiques only appreciate. My personal savings account was literally getting more valuable every day just sitting there. I arranged all the furniture. Wardrobe in my room, table and chairs in the kitchen, the rest distributed around the house. The pile of firewood junk from the shop went into a spare side room. Future projects. Gu Zhuochen's big fear, that I'd blow up the kitchen, turned out to be completely unfounded. I'm not the original Yushu. I can cook. And cook well. 10 lifetimes of feeding yourself tends to build some skills. I made myself a proper dinner. 1 dish, 1 soup. Ate until I was stuffed. Reviewed textbooks until 8. Went to bed early because tomorrow was a school day and I'm a responsible 300-year-old woman pretending to be 17. If you add up all my previous lives, I'm basically an ancient monster cosplaying as a high schooler. But the education system doesn't accept. I've literally died 10 times as grounds for a diploma exemption, so off to class I go. 6 a.m. Up with the watch. The Ling family gave the original Yushu back when she was still their beloved princess. At least they had good taste in accessories. Breakfast? Not cooking. There were 10 restaurants within walking distance.
Et chose convenance.
I pushed my bike to the front gate, opened the door, and, second brother, Ling Yongming was standing there with bags and bundles piled around him like a one-man moving company. Brought all your stuff, he said, and started carrying things inside before I could even respond. I grabbed what I could and directed him to an empty side room. Just dump everything here. I'll sort it later. He'd biked everything over. On a bicycle. All of it. This man strapped my entire life's possessions to a bicycle and pedaled them across town at the crack of dawn. Of everyone in the Ling family, Second brother was the only one who didn't change after finding out I wasn't blood related. Same kindness. Same big brother energy. The real deal. He noticed my backpack. "You going to school?" "Yeah." After the college entrance exam, "I'm planning to visit my birth parents in the countryside." His expression shifted. "About your household registration, it's still under the Ling family address. You need to transfer it out soon." Turns out he'd overheard Xiume convincing Mom to move my registration to the countryside. If that happened, I'd have to take the exam in some rural area, wasting days on travel during the most critical study period. Classic Xiume, weaponizing bureaucracy. "Already handled," I said. Gu Zhuochen said even without being married yet, my registration is moved to this address. Second brother looked relieved, then concerned. He shows up out of nowhere, has everything perfectly arranged, and you're not suspicious of his motives at all. All I know is that when I needed to leave, he was the one who helped. I wasn't going to waste energy worrying about the past or analyzing everyone's intentions. Life moves forward. Looking backward doesn't change anything. Besides, by this era's standards, we've been caught in the same bed. If we didn't get together, that would be the scandal. And honestly, Gu Zhuochen wasn't a bad deal. Powerful family. Good backup to have. And most importantly, never home. Maximum freedom for me to pursue my antique hustling, pocket dimension having, secretly ancient side hustle. "He's my friend," second brother said carefully, "but even I don't fully understand him sometimes. You'd be better off marrying." I cut him off before he could finish that sentence. Second brother. "If you're about to say what I think you're about to say, don't. Mom already blames me for stealing her real daughter's life. I understand why. But I can't give her another reason to hate me." I knew he was about to suggest himself. Noble idiot. But absolutely not. That would destroy what little peace was left. He pulled out an envelope. "You left without taking a single yuan from the house. You can't have nothing. Take this. You call me second brother. That means I have a duty to look after you." My heart did a thing. A warm, inconvenient thing. But I couldn't take his money. The whole point of leaving was to cut ties cleanly. "Gu Zhuochen gave me living expenses," I said, keeping my voice light. "I'm his wife now. He'll take care of me." We walked out of the alley together and ran into the neighborhood aunties and uncles from yesterday. "Little Ling. Who's this young man?" "My second brother. He brought my things over from my family's house." "Oh. OH. The way they said, oh, twice. I could see the gossip wheels spinning, but I'd given them nothing scandalous. Just wholesome sibling support. Gossip deflected. "Heading to school?" "Yep. Running late. Gotta go." I waved at second brother, then paused. "Wait," Gu Zhuochen said. He got called away on a mission. "Aren't you two in the same unit?" Second brother's face fell when I mentioned Gu Zhuochen's mission. Turns out they usually go on missions together, but this time, Gu Zhuochen left him behind. Just went without him. He forced a smile. "I'm not on his level. Anyway, get to school, don't be late." We biked off in different directions. And neither of us noticed the person with a camera lurking nearby after we left. Creepy? Yes. Relevant later? Almost certainly. On the way to school, I stopped and bought 10 steamed buns. Ate 2. Put 8 into my pocket dimension using my backpack as cover. Oh yeah. I tested the space last night. Anything I put in comes out exactly the same. No spoiling, no aging, no mysterious space rot. It's basically a magical refrigerator with infinite shelf life. So I started a little stockpile. 1 basin for food. 1 box for my antique collection. Emergency supplies for the girl who's died 10 times and has trust issues with mortality. I ate buns while biking. Finished the last one right as I pulled up to the school gate. Efficient calorie management. Checked my watch. 20 minutes door to door. 5 minutes longer than from the Ling house. Acceptable. Parked. Locked the bike. Walked into class 4 of senior year 3 using the original Yushu's memories like a GPS. School had uniforms, but only enforced them on Monday flag ceremonies. Today was not Monday. Small mercy. I hadn't even thought about uniforms until now. The second I walked through the classroom door. Ling Yushu. Is it true you're not actually a Ling? That was Wu Xiaofeng. Class gossip. The kind of person who'd eat fresh news for breakfast and stale rumors for dessert. She needed to know everything about everyone, preferably before it happened. But her eyes were curious, not cruel. So I let it slide. Yep, it's true. I moved out of the Ling house. I walked to my seat. My desk mate, Emily, immediately grabbed my arm. Yushu.
Yushu.
Even if you're not a Ling, we're still best friends. It was the most innocent, childish, wholesome thing anyone had said to me in approximately 300 years of cumulative existence. And she meant every word.
Relax, I've fine.
It's not like I'm an orphan. I've still got parents.
Just.
Different ones. Technically true. Emotionally, I've been speedrunning lives too fast to get attached to any parents, so the swap barely registered. Emily patted my shoulder. As long as you're okay. I saved all the test papers and handouts from while you were gone. They're in your desk. Thanks, Emily. Since when are you so formal with me? She didn't notice anything different about me. The personality transplant flew completely under the radar. Seamless. Transition. Nailed it. Morning study period, then classes. I adapted instantly. 300 years of life experience crammed into a 17-year-old body sitting in a high school classroom learning things I already knew. It was like a PhD student going back to kindergarten, except I had to pretend the alphabet was challenging. Lunchtime brought a problem. At this school, students bring rice from home in the morning to steam in the cafeteria, then buy side dishes with meal tickets at lunch. All of my lunch supplies, rice container, meal tickets, were back at the Ling house. Because of course they were. Options: eat outside, or eat leftover buns in the classroom like a sad hamster.
It shows dignity.
And beef noodles. Emily found me still at my desk. Yushu, why aren't you going to lunch? Forgot my lunchbox. Eating out today. Wanna come? The look on her face was like I'd suggested we fly to the moon. Eating out? At a restaurant? That was luxury-level spending for students here.
Ide forgotten.
In this era, a kid getting 20 cents for a meat bun in the morning meant their family was doing well. Casually suggesting restaurant lunch was basically flashing a gold card. And no, I'll pass. You go ahead. I'll bring you back a popsicle then. I found a noodle shop near school. €1 for a massive bowl of beef noodles with flavor that would make modern restaurants weep. The place was packed with adults, not a single student in sight, because students couldn't afford it. I was literally the only minor in the establishment, slurping noodles like a tiny CEO on her lunch break. I bought 5 popsicles on the way back. 1 for me, 1 for Emily, 1 each for the 2 boys sitting in front of us, and 1 for Wu Xiaofeng, because even gossips deserve frozen treats. Wu Xiaofeng took the popsicle and immediately started talking. You're sitting there all carefree, like you don't have a worry in the world, and I'm the one stressed out for you. Do you even know what that new girl Ling Yushu in class 2 is saying about you? Do tell. I batted my eyelashes playfully. I already knew Yushu wouldn't dare mention the Gu Zhuochen situation. The Ling family couldn't afford to pick a fight with the Gu family. So whatever she was spreading had to be something safer. She's telling everyone you refuse to go back to your countryside parents because you're vain and obsessed with the city life. I wasn't even mad. I had my response locked and loaded. The college entrance exam is in a few weeks. If I go back now, what happens to my studies? I'm definitely going back after the exam. Think about it. Students who test from the countryside have to score way higher to get into the same schools we can get into with local scores. Would any of you give up that advantage? Heads nodded around the room like bobbleheads on a dashboard. She's right. She's not saying she won't go, just not now. Yushu is obviously trying to mess with your head before the exam. Don't fall for it. Your grades are average enough already. Go back there, and you'll never get into college. That last one was supposed to be supportive. I think. The delivery needed work, but the spirit was there. I almost laughed. Class 4 was tight-knit. They had each other's backs. I loved that energy. Look, I said, going full motivational speaker mode, what we need to focus on right now is the exam. Let other people talk. If Yushu spent half the energy she uses on gossip on actual studying, she'd be better off. Also, during my 3 days off, someone taught me some amazing study techniques. I'll share them with everyone on Monday. Trust me, it was like a lightning bolt to my brain. Total breakthrough. Everyone laughed at how dramatic I was being. Sure. We'll be waiting. The afternoon was all practice tests and review. Do problems, go over answers, repeat. After-school homework was a mountain. No evening study hall. Thankfully. I paid attention in every class. I know, shocking for someone who could probably teach half these subjects. But I wasn't about to get cocky. Following the teacher's logic helped me understand how this world's curriculum was structured, which was critical for the exam. After school, I biked home with a few classmates who lived nearby. They were so friendly they offered to swing by every morning so we could ride to school together. Sure. Just don't come too early. I'm not a morning person. Something interesting. Without the Ling family princess label, I was actually more popular. The original Yushu had to be prim and proper, the perfect well-bred daughter.
Now,
I could just be a normal kid, joke around, be silly, actually have fun. Freedom tasted better than beef noodles. After getting home, I went back out to buy a lunchbox and some meal tickets. Eating out once was fine. Doing it daily would make me the class-rich kid, and not in a good way. Blend in. Be normal. Save the baller moves for antique shopping. Meanwhile, back at the Ling house, second brother was getting absolutely roasted by the family. Mom slammed a set of photographs down in front of him.
oh boy.
Now, I wasn't there for this, but second brother told me later what went down at the Ling house. And honestly, it was worse than I imagined. Mom slammed photos on the table like she was presenting evidence at a murder trial. The crime? Second brother handing me an envelope. You already did more than enough by delivering her things. Why are you giving her money? How is that fair to Xiaomei? She was acting like he'd committed treason. High treason. Against the crown princess Xiaomei, first of her name, reclaimer of stolen birthright, professional victim. Second brother looked at the photos, and his blood went cold. Where did these come from? You're having me followed, that's right. His own family was surveilling him. With a camera, like he was a Cold War spy, and I was his foreign contact. All because he tried to give his sister some pocket money. Dad jumped in. Never mind where the photos came from. How much did you give her? I tried to give her money. She refused. Oh yeah? Then where's she getting cash? Eating at restaurants. Buying popsicles for classmates. We raised her for 18 years, and she never once bought Xiaomei a snack, sir. Xiaomei wasn't even in the picture until last week. How was the original Yushu supposed to buy treats for a sister she didn't know existed? Second brother tried one more time.
Brave man.
Dad, she was a baby when the swap happened. She had no say in it. What did she ever do wrong? And what did Xiaomei do wrong? Do you know what kind of life she lived? If I'm soft on that girl, I'm being cruel to Xiaomei. Does blood really matter that much? Of course it does. Who wants to raise someone else's child? Besides, you saw what kind of person she is. If it weren't for that Gu boy, she would have ruined your life. Oh, that narrative. The one where the original Yushu was a master manipulator instead of a desperate, naive kid who got tricked by her so-called best friend. But sure, go off, Dad. Xiaomei had definitely been feeding them her version of events with extra seasoning. From now on, her business is none of our concern, Dad declared. Whether she marries into the Gu family or crawls back to the countryside, you stay out of it. Remember who your real sister is. Second brother's jaw tightened. She has money because Gu Zhuochen gave it to her. Then, like he'd been saving this card, I'm moving to the bachelor quarters on base tomorrow. I won't be coming home. Dad waved him off. Good. Focus on work. And stop hanging around that Gu kid. You only get dragged into trouble. Never any credit. And there it was. The real grievance. Gu Zhuochen had been called away on a secret mission, a career-making opportunity, and hadn't brought second brother along. Dad was salty because his son missed a chance to earn merit. Never mind that on every previous mission, Gu Zhuochen had literally kept second brother alive. Never mind that second brother himself admitted he'd have died several times over without him. No, Dad thought his son's survival was just natural talent. Unbelievable. Xiaomei chimed in, sweet as antifreeze. Brother, Dad's right. A real friend would share opportunities with you. Second brother snapped. You don't know anything. Those missions mean putting your head on the chopping block. If it wasn't for him, I'd be dead several times over, Dad glared. Don't yell at your sister. And what's so dangerous? You want military merit. You accept risk. Easy to say when you're not the one dodging bullets, old man. Second brother gave up, turned around and walked upstairs. Dinner's almost ready. Where are you going? Mom yelled after him.
Mom.
You just spent 20 minutes emotionally demolishing your son, and now you're worried about his appetite? Xiaomei, sensing the tension, shifted to phase 2 of her plan. Daddy, maybe we shouldn't have pushed Sister Yushu away so hard. The Gu family is powerful. If she marries in, we could benefit from the connection. Testing the waters. Seeing if Dad regretted letting me go. Don't be naive. Dad shut her down. Old man Gu is famous for being incorruptible. He doesn't even give his own grandchildren special treatment. Outsiders? Forget it. Then he patted her head. Focus on your studies. Yushu's grades were mediocre. Surely my biological daughter can do better. Ah yes. The competitive parenting approach. My real kid must be smarter than the fake one. Solid logic, Dad. Very scientific. Meanwhile, he conveniently ignored that Xiaomei, who supposedly suffered in the countryside, had no calluses on her hands and skin as pale as a city girl's. Those poor rural parents had clearly loved and cared for her. But acknowledging that would ruin the victim narrative. So, selective blindness it was. Xiaomei threw one more grenade. Daddy, sister's household registration is still under our address. The exam is coming up. Should we leave it for now? Transfer it to the countryside. Mom snapped, instantly activated. She's not our child. Why should she be registered under our home? Dad nodded. I'll handle it. The same man who'd carefully chosen the characters in my name, meaning given beauty, was now trying to sabotage my college entrance exam. 18 years of fatherhood, erased in a week. Good thing Gu Zhuochen had already moved my registration. Try to transfer that, Dad. You'll find an empty file. Back at my house, my beautiful, peaceful, drama-free courtyard, I was having the time of my life destroying furniture. On purpose. See, in one of my previous lives, I was born into a family of master woodworkers. Grew up surrounded by saws, planes, and chisels. By the time I died, at 29, obviously, because the universe has a strict no Yushu past 30 policy, I could build anything from a stool to a wardrobe with my eyes closed. All that firewood junk I'd bought? Raw material. I was breaking it down and rebuilding it into actual, usable furniture. And then, because this life apparently comes with a loot drop system, I noticed something while moving the wood. It was heavy. Way too heavy for regular timber. My magic eyes kicked in. Inside the wood, gold. Bright, beautiful, unmistakable gold. I sawed open the table legs. All 4 of them. Different heights, different amounts, but every single one had gold hidden inside. Someone at some point had used furniture as a piggy bank and then lost it, sold it, died. Total haul, about 1 kilogram of gold. I stared at it, weighed it in my hands. The furniture guy literally paid me to haul away a gold deposit. This was the greatest yard sale purchase in human history. With the remaining wood, I built 2 desks, 2 reclining chairs, a bunch of small stools, and a frankly excessive number of coat hangers. My woodworking skills were singing. The small stools I gave to the neighborhood grandpas and grandmas. Summer was here, and in Hudong culture, everyone sits outside in the evenings to cool off and gossip. Hand-carved wooden stools were the perfect housewarming gift. The elders were thrilled. Neighborly relations, maxed out. Senior year meant school, even on weekends, all study halls. Monday came, and I delivered on my promise. I brought in the study guides I'd prepared. Every subject, every key concept, organized and streamlined using learning methods from, the future. Most classmates were skeptical. Fair, the old Yushu's grades were painfully average. Why would anyone take study advice from a C student? But a few tried it, and their eyes went wide. The material that had felt like tangled spaghetti was suddenly organized into clean, logical chains. You could see exactly what you knew, what you didn't, and where to focus. It was like someone had turned on the lights in a dark room. Copying by hand was too slow, so I gave everything to the homeroom teacher. She was hesitant. Changing study methods this close to the exam was risky, and other classes might not appreciate it, but for her students, she was willing to try. 2 weeks later, class-wide improvement across every subject. Grades went up. Morale went up. Everyone was studying smarter, not just harder. And the biggest improvement?
Mine.
I shot up the rankings like a rocket. Carefully, of course. I'd been building the gradually improving storyline for weeks. No one questioned it. The study method explained everything. Plausible deniability. Perfect. The exam was almost here. Everything was in place. Study plan, locked. Antique side hustle, profitable. Neighborhood reputation, excellent. Pocket dimension, stocked. There was just one small problem. Gu Zhuochen still wasn't back. Okay, I'm going to say something and I need everyone to stay calm. I missed Gu Zhuochen.
Wait.
Before you start shipping us, this was strictly a business partner kind of missing. Like how you miss your accountant during tax season. Or your umbrella during a rainstorm. Purely functional concern.
Zero romance.
None. Absolutely not. Moving on. He still wasn't back when exam day arrived, so I handled everything myself. Stationery packed. Snacks prepared. I even booked a room at the guest house near school so I could nap between morning and afternoon sessions instead of biking all the way home. Professional grade exam preparation. 10 lifetimes of experience has taught me that logistics win wars. Meanwhile, at the Ling house, Dad tried to sabotage me by transferring my household registration to the countryside. This would have forced me to take the exam in rural nowhere, wasting precious study time on travel. He went to the office, pulled the file, found it already transferred out to my courtyard house address by Grandpa Gu himself. Dad quietly put the file back and pretended he was never there. You don't mess with Grandpa Gu. That old man is like a mountain. Immovable, incorruptible, and absolutely terrifying. The Ling family was pouring all their energy into Xiuemei's exam prep. They were convinced she'd outperform me, and to be fair, her grades were better than old Yushu's. But Xiuemei conveniently forgot to mention my recent academic glow-up to anyone at home. Funny how that works. Exam morning. School gate. I ran into the full Ling family welcoming committee. Dad, Mom, and Xiuemei, who was scanning the crowd like a little hawk. The second she spotted me, she sprinted over with a bottle of ice-cold soda. Sister, I've been waiting for you. I bought you a cold drink. It's so hot today, you should have some before you go in. Now, let me paint this picture. The temperature was brutal. Xiuemei was drenched in sweat, forehead practically raining. Meanwhile, I had a tiny bead of moisture on the tip of my nose. That's it. She wanted me to drink something she'd brought, right before my exam. An exam she needed me to fail. Gee, I wonder what could possibly be in that bottle. You look like you need it more than I do, I said sweetly. You're sweating bullets. Drink up. Mom's maternal instincts kicked in for the wrong daughter. Yushu, how can you be so rude? Xiuemei is being kind. Lady, your kind daughter literally killed the last version of me with mystery pills. Forgive me for being cautious around beverages she provides. She offers, and I'm supposed to just take it?
Why?
Because she's got nerve. I turned and walked into school. Done with this conversation.
Done with this family. Done.
Xiuemei tried one more, sister. But Dad cut her off with a sharp look. She doesn't want it. Drink it yourself. But then he saw Xiuemei's face go white as chalk. And suddenly, Dad wasn't so dense anymore. He held out his hand. Give me the bottle. You go inside. Xiuemei glanced at the bottle, then at Dad. Daddy, your stomach is sensitive. Don't drink anything cold. She bolted into the school like her shoes were on fire. Mom, oblivious as ever, reached for the bottle. If nobody wants it, I'll drink it. Dad walked to the nearest trash can and threw it away. What a waste, Mom huffed. Dad said nothing. But inside, I'm pretty sure he was recalculating some things about his precious biological daughter. Not that he'd ever admit it. Instead, he blamed my birth parents for somehow corrupting Xiuemei across 18 years of zero contact. The mental gymnastics on this man. Olympic level. I was relieved Xiume and I were in different exam rooms.
No distractions.
No drama. Just me and a test paper I'd been preparing 300 years for. I finished 10 minutes early and turned in my paper. Not to flex, but to beat the crowd. Nothing worse than trying to squeeze through a hallway of panicking students when you're already done. I walked out the gate and there he was, Gu Zhuochen, standing there, waiting for me.
I don't know what happened.
My legs just
moved.
I ran up to him like a happy little deer, which is not a metaphor I would have chosen for myself, but apparently my body had its own PR department. When did you get back? He looked at me with something warm in his eyes. You missed me that much? I will neither confirm nor deny. What do you want to eat? My treat. I was planning to eat out, but after the Xiume soda incident, eating something prepared by unknown hands felt risky. Better to cook at home. I already made food. Let's go home and eat. He cooked. This man came back from a military mission, probably involving danger and explosions and classified things, and his first move was to cook me lunch and drive to my school to pick me up. In his grandfather's official car, no less. The old man's personal vehicle, just casually borrowing it like it was a Honda Civic. We walked to the car, and because the universe has comedic timing, Dad's car was parked right next to ours. Gu Zhuochen gave Dad a polite nod. Then he opened the passenger door and basically stuffed me inside. I could feel Mom's eyes boring into the back of my head as we drove away. The Ling family had assumed our marriage talk was just talk. They figured the mighty Gu family would never actually marry someone like me. But here's their proof. The Gu family's personal vehicle, Gu Zhuochen personally chauffeuring me, and me riding shotgun like I owned the place. Old Ling, Mom started uneasy. Leave her alone from now on, Dad said flatly. And tell Xiume to stay away from her. Don't provoke her. He couldn't benefit from my connection to the Gu family, but he also didn't want to make enemies. As for taking me back, not even a consideration. The man couldn't get past the fact that he'd raised someone else's child. 18 years of love. And that was the takeaway.
Oh, fine, Mom said.
She did not mean it. Walking through the courtyard door, I was hit by the smell of actual home-cooked food. My jaw dropped. I had no idea you could cook. Nobody ever mentioned this. Gu Zhuochen raised an eyebrow. You've been paying attention to what people say about me? Absolutely not. This was true for both me and the original Yushu, which was actually important. If the old Yushu had been in love with him, I would have felt weird about this whole arrangement. But her heart had been a blank slate where Gu Zhuochen was concerned. Clean start. Right now, he was stacking up points in my mental scoreboard. Good looking, check. Capable, check. Respects my independence, check. Can cook, bonus check. You denied that pretty fast, he said, a tiny crack forming in his cool exterior. Am I really that uninteresting to you? You didn't think about me at all while I was gone. He'd been thinking about me. During his mission. This trained killer was out doing classified military operations, and my face kept popping into his head. He'd come back having seriously reflected on our relationship, deciding he was going to commit properly. That's kind of adorable, in a terrifying way. Of course I thought about you, I said. I'm spending your money, sleeping in your bed. How could I not think about you? His ear tips went red. Bright red. And I, a woman with 3 centuries of emotional experience stuffed into a teenager's body, found it genuinely entertaining. This life felt different. I had my cheat code. I had my space. For the first time in 10 lives, maybe I could let my guard down. Live a little. Be spontaneous. Stop treating every relationship like a countdown timer. Gu Zhuochen cleared his throat and changed the subject with the subtlety of a man defusing a bomb. While I was away, I had a friend investigate some things. The baby swap all those years ago? It was done by Mrs. Ling's younger sister. Apparently the marriage to Commander Ling was originally supposed to be hers. Your adoptive mother stole her own sister's fiancé. The aunts swapped the babies as revenge. Oh. The Ling family wants you gone partly because they don't want the scandal getting out. Everything clicked. The speed at which they turned on me. The desperation to push me away. It wasn't just about blood. It was about covering up a family soap opera. Mom stole her sister's man. Sister swapped the babies. And I was the evidence of the whole ugly mess. No wonder second brother was the only one still treating me like family. He probably didn't know any of this backstory. I'm done keeping score with the Ling family, I said. Who's right, who's wrong? It doesn't matter anymore. Letting go of them is letting go for myself too, and I meant it. 10 lifetimes teaches you that grudges are heavy luggage and life is a short trip. Gu Zhuochen nodded, then paused. There's one more thing I need to tell you. Gu Zhuochen had my full attention now. What thing? Commander Ling tried to transfer your household registration to the countryside. Luckily, my grandfather moved faster. Even Gu Zhuochen was surprised. The great Commander Ling, Mr. Upstanding military officer, was pulling petty bureaucratic sabotage on a teenager before her college entrance exam.
Real classy, Dad.
But nothing stays secret from the Gu family. They've got eyes everywhere. Dad tried to keep it quiet, but in a world of military intelligence networks, his little scheme was about as secret as a firework.
I
wasn't even shocked. After hearing about Mom stealing her own sister's fiancé and the whole baby swap revenge plot, a little household registration tampering was basically Tuesday for this family. And I was 90% sure Xiaomei had whispered the idea into someone's ear. That girl's helpful suggestions were about as subtle as a neon sign. Every time she opened her mouth around me, it was tea-flavored nonsense with a side of passive aggression. Ugh, can we stop talking about depressing people? I waved my hand. Got any good news? Actually, yes. Gu Zhuochen's expression softened. Your birth parents, they're good people. No preference for sons over daughters. They treated Xiaomei well. Honest, hardworking family. Not surprised. I figured. You ever seen a farm girl with hands that smooth? Not a single callus. And that skin? She's whiter than most city girls. Those parents clearly poured everything into raising her. Gu Zhuochen looked impressed. You noticed all that? Obviously. I flipped my hair mentally. 300 years of reading people doesn't go to waste. We moved to the kitchen, the west side ear room, decent-sized, with a dining table right there. Gu Zhuochen had gone all out. Red braised pork, already glistening in the pot. 2 deli items on the table, sliced vegetarian chicken and roast chicken. The man was running a 2-protein minimum.
I scooped rice.
He plated the pork, then whipped up a tomato egg drop soup in approximately 90 seconds. Summer meant no rush to eat before things got cold, but this guy moved like a kitchen commando anyway. I waited until he sat down with his own bowl before I picked up my chopsticks. Manners.
Even ancient monsters have them.
We ate in comfortable silence. No small talk, no forced conversation. Just 2 people appreciating food. And, oh my God, the red braised pork. 1 piece of meat, a drizzle of sauce, and I could demolish an entire bowl of rice. The roast chicken? Incredible. The vegetarian chicken? Also incredible. Everything was incredible, and my stomach was a traitor because it told me I was full after 1 bowl. 1 bowl. Eat more, Gu Zhuochen urged. You don't want to be hungry during the exam. I wanted to eat more. My mouth wanted more. My brain wanted more. But the original Yushu had trained this stomach to be the size of a walnut through years of picky eating and being spoiled rotten. I was slowly stretching it out. When I first arrived, I could barely finish half a bowl. 1 full bowl was genuine progress. This was also why I stockpiled food in my pocket dimension. Small, frequent meals throughout the day. Rebuild capacity. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Gu Zhuochen, meanwhile, ate like a human vacuum. Everything I didn't finish?
Gone.
The remaining pork? Inhaled. The chicken?
Absorbed.
This man had the appetite of 3 people and the metabolism of a nuclear reactor. He was already mentally shopping for a refrigerator. Fair with his eating habits, we needed industrial-grade food storage. After the meal, I started clearing the table, but he immediately swooped in. I'll wash. You rest. I'll wake you up when it's time. Can't sleep right after eating. I'll walk it off first. I leaned against the counter and watched him wash dishes. He was good at it, practiced, efficient. This wasn't a man who'd never done housework. He'd clearly been taking care of himself for years. I'll be done soon. Go read your books, He was getting self-conscious under my stare. I couldn't resist. You want to marry me, but you can't handle me standing next to you for 5 minutes. He turned to face me and walked right into my trap because I was standing there with the most innocent, deadpan expression. Then, out of absolutely nowhere, he said, "Am I good looking?" I blinked.
Yes.
"So I might as well enjoy the view while it's free." He had no response, just stood there, processing. I pressed on because apparently my mouth had declared independence from my brain today. You know, every case of love at first sight is really just lust at first sight. So when you latched onto me, was it because I'm pretty? More or less. What do you mean more or less? Look at this face. Is it not beautiful? Something's wrong with your eyes. You have other qualities that attracted me too. I'm not that shallow. Oh, he was struggling. The real reason he chose me had to do with his mysterious system, which he still couldn't tell me about. But he genuinely thought about it during his mission and decided he could make this work. Fall in love after marriage. And honestly, he wasn't lying about the attraction part. Just omitting the supernatural catalyst. He finished the dishes, and we walked out of the kitchen together. He'd seen the room I set up for him. "I really like what you did with my room. Where'd you find that bed?" "It's great, 1.8 meters wide. You don't see beds that big around here. Custom ordered. Pretty amazing, right?" "You're welcome." Zero modesty. Maximum self-satisfaction. And he loved it. Not the bed, well, yes, the bed, but the fact that I wasn't scared of him and didn't try to suck up to him. I just was myself. Blunt, confident, and completely unimpressed by his scary reputation. "Were you always like this?" he asked, genuinely puzzled. If the old Yushu had been this way, there's no way he wouldn't have noticed her before. Then again, she was only 18. Easy to overlook a kid. And then my mouth went rogue again. "So, do you prefer the old me or the current me?" Why did I ask that? Where did that come from? I couldn't take it back. It was already floating in the air between us like a grenade with a pin pulled. Gu Zhuochen paused. I could see him calculating. This was clearly a test with a right answer and a wrong answer, and the wrong answer would result in consequences. "The current you. Good taste," I said, immediately relieved. Which was weird. I didn't need his approval. I wasn't at the can't live without him stage. And yet, I was scared he'd say the wrong thing. What was happening to me? He looked relieved too, like he'd just defused a bomb. Sometimes following your heart is the right call. "I noticed you've been digging along the courtyard walls," he said, smoothly pivoting to safe territory. "What are you planting?" "Mosquito-repelling plants, plus some basics, garlic, green onions, chives. Aren't you leaving after the exam?" "I'm coming back. And when I'm gone, you still live here. Someone needs to eat fresh chives." I thought this was very considerate of me. He agreed. "Good point. I'll source the plants in the next couple days." He liked the idea of building this little home together. Shared project. Shared space.
Shared chives.
We chatted a bit more, then I sent him to rest while I napped for about an hour. He woke me up right on time, and we biked to school together, him pedaling me on the back. We arrived early. Students were already filing in. I hopped off the bike and started walking toward the gate. A hand grabbed my collar from behind. "Check your pencil case one more time." I'd already checked at home. But he was looking at me with such serious concern, more nervous than I was about my own exam, that I just opened it and showed him everything.
"See?
It's all here. You worry more than I never finished that sentence. Because Gu Zhuochen yanked me into his arms. Careful. And that's where we are. In his arms. At the school gate. In front of everyone. This man is going to be the death of me. For the 11th time. The second Gu Zhuochen pulled me into his arms, I saw it, some guy lunging at the exact spot where I'd been standing. He was aiming for my right arm. My right arm. Right before my college entrance exam. This wasn't an accident. This was a hit job. A very stupid, very obvious hit job. The guy put too much force into it though. Missed me completely and ate pavement.
Hard.
He was built like a brick wall too. If he'd actually connected, my arm would have been finished. And so would my exam. And so would my future. But nothing, and I mean nothing, was more important than getting into that exam room. So I mentally filed this under, deal with later, and started walking. I didn't even realize I was still in Gu Zhuochen's arms until he gently pushed me toward the gate.
Go.
Get in there. The guy on the ground wasn't done though. Hey, little girl. You knocked me over. Aren't you going to help me up? I didn't even turn around.
Kept walking.
Eyes forward. Exam mode activated. He scrambled up, yelling at maximum volume. Young people these days have no manners. Even if you get into college, you'll be a disgrace. Sir, you just tried to cripple a teenager and you're lecturing me about manners? Gu Zhuochen knew that during exam season, police were stationed around schools, some in uniform, some undercover. So he did what any reasonable person would do. He yelled, "Any police here?" Someone just tried to sabotage a student's exam. A man materialized almost instantly. Li Tao, someone Gu Zhuochen actually knew, though they both pretended to be strangers. Professional. I'm police, Li Tao said, face like stone. Who's disrupting the college entrance exam? The attacker, clearly in his 30s, clearly hired muscle, went pale. And nobody's disrupting anything. The student bumped into me. I just complained a little. Gu Zhuochen wasn't having it. He laid out exactly what happened, the angle of approach, the trajectory, the fact that the guy was specifically targeting my writing arm. Then he recreated the entire scene, step by step, like a military forensic analyst. Positions, movement paths, timing. This man brought PowerPoint energy to a street confrontation.
Who saw that?
Nobody saw anything. You're making it up. The guy was sweating bullets. He'd been paid to do this job, and he absolutely could not reveal who hired him. He tried the bigger person exit. You know what, today's just my unlucky day. Let's forget the whole thing. He turned to run.
Click.
Handcuffs. Li Tao had him cuffed before he took 2 steps. You're coming to the station. Now, who was watching this entire scene unfold from the sidelines, sweating more than a sauna?
Mom.
Adoptive mom. Mrs. Ling herself. Dad wasn't there that afternoon. Xuemei was already inside the exam room. But the plan? Xuemei's idea. The execution? Mom hired the guy. In Mom's twisted logic, she was going to have someone hurt me, then swoop in with concern and sympathy, and somehow this would repair a relationship? Oh no, you're injured. Let me help. See, I still care about you, ma'am. That's not reconciliation. That's assault followed by gaslighting. What she didn't expect was Gu Zhuochen showing up for the afternoon session too. Or him having the reflexes of a cobra. Or the police getting involved. She saw the situation spiraling and panicked. Dad had just told her to leave me alone. If he found out she'd pulled the stunt, he'd explode. So she did what any self-respecting conspirator does. She tried to shut it down. She marched up to the scene. Little Gu, what's happening? You can't be handcuffing people in front of the school. You'll scare the students. Li Tao didn't know her, so he explained the situation. Mom put on her warmest maternal face. The girl involved is my daughter. She's a kind, gentle girl. She's not hurt, and she wouldn't want to make a big deal out of this. Li Tao hesitated. If this woman was really the victim's mother, her opinion carried some weight. Gu Zhuochen shut that down immediately. She is kind. But she's not a pushover, and she's definitely not a saint who forgives people who try to hurt her. Then he turned the full force of his gaze on Mom. Mrs. Ling, you found her biological daughter. Yushu has nothing to do with your family anymore. While I was away, I heard Commander Ling try to transfer her household registration to the countryside, right before the exam. If you really considered her your daughter, would you do something like that? He paused, letting the silence do its work. And now you show up claiming she's your daughter and trying to make this go away? Doesn't that feel a little convenient? Unless there's something else going on here that I should know about. Every word was a slap. Not physical, worse.
Public. Precise.
Devastating. Li Tao read the room instantly. I'll take this man to the station for proper questioning. Mom watched her hired thug get dragged away and realized she had about 30 minutes before he cracked and named her. She abandoned her post, didn't even wait for Xuemei to finish the exam, and rushed off to pull strings and get the guy released before he could talk. Gu Zhuochen let her go. He wasn't trying to catch her today. He was playing the long game. In the military world, a lot of shady stuff operates on a don't ask, don't tell basis. As long as nobody makes an official complaint, everyone looks the other way. But the moment someone starts paying attention, minor infractions become career-ending scandals. Gu Zhuochen was letting the Ling family's mistakes pile up, snowflake by snowflake. When the snowball was big enough, avalanche. He timed it perfectly, then called Li Tao at the station. Tao, if someone comes to bail out that guy and your superiors pressure you to release him, let him go. But record the confession.
Audio.
Get me a copy. Li Tao had served with Gu Zhuochen in the military. They'd been on missions together. In his eyes, Gu Zhuochen was the most capable person he'd ever met.
Done.
Whatever you say, then unable to contain himself. So, you and that girl, don't worry, you're invited to the wedding. Have your red envelope ready. But keep it quiet for now, I don't want anything affecting her exams. Li Tao could hear the smile in his voice. In all the years he'd known this cold, ruthless, terrifying man, he'd never heard him sound like this. You just quietly went and sorted out the biggest milestone of your life. Huh? Impressive. Gu Zhuochen's response was pique him. I'm just a little thick-skinned. Thick-skinned. The man who practically forced me to marry him through a combination of blackmail, guilt-tripping, and strategic vulnerability is calling himself a little thick-skinned. That's like calling the ocean a little damp. After the call, he didn't wait outside the school. I'd mentioned my guest house room, so he went there to catch up on sleep. The man had barely rested in days rushing back from his mission. When he left, he checked me out of the room. No point paying for it when he was driving me home. He was back at the gate when I walked out, 10 minutes early as usual. We went home and cooked dinner with ingredients from the street vendors at the end of our hutong. Dad found out about Mom's little stunt and was furious.
Good.
At least one parent had the sense to be angry about attempted assault on a minor. The remaining exam days went smoothly. No more Ling family ambushes. No more hired thugs.
Just me and my test papers.
I didn't find the exams hard, obviously. But I wasn't about to score a perfect mark and land on the national news. I calculated last year's admission scores for Beijing University and Hua University, added 30 points for cushion, and aimed for that. Enough to get into the best schools. Not enough to make headlines. Strategic excellence. My classmates and teachers weren't surprised by my performance. They'd watched me climb steadily through every practice exam over the past month. The study method had been working, the improvement trajectory was documented, and my scores had a perfectly plausible upward curve. Evidence-based genius. No one could question it. After the exams, Gu Zhuochen took me to meet Grandpa Gu. Meeting the parents. The real parents. The ones that actually mattered. Here we go. Grandpa Gu lived in a military compound because of course he did, with a personal guard and a housekeeper. The man was technically retirement age, but the higher-ups wouldn't let him retire. Too valuable. Still on active duty, just didn't have to show up every day. Basically the military equivalent of a tenured professor who only teaches one class. Now, Grandpa Gu had done his homework on me. Thorough, detailed, probably classified-level background research. And his assessment of old Yushu? Decent face. Nothing else remarkable.
Spoiled.
Couldn't handle hardship. Soft-eared pushover, who got used as a wallet by her so-called friends. Harsh? Yes. Accurate? Also yes. But he'd noticed something interesting. After Gu Zhuochen announced the marriage, I seemed different. He chalked it up to the shock of discovering I wasn't a real Ling. Which, sure, that's a reasonable conclusion. Better than, actually, her soul got replaced by a 300-year-old serial reincarnator. He'd observed that my appearance hadn't changed, but my entire vibe had shifted. And he wasn't wrong. Same face, completely different person inside. Literally. Beep beep. We pulled up to the compound. The guard was already opening the gate. Gu Zhuochen didn't drive into the yard. He parked outside. I had my small leather bag. Nothing else in my hands. I'd wanted to bring the standard visiting the elders gifts, cigarettes, alcohol, health supplements, local specialties. The whole respectful future granddaughter-in-law starter pack. But Gu Zhuochen had waved it off. Grandpa doesn't need any of that. What he really likes is collecting ancient coins. But those are hard to come by. Ancient coins. Ancient coins. The same ancient coin I'd bought at the flea market for 2 yuan? That ancient coin? The one currently sitting in my pocket dimension? If Gu Zhuochen hadn't been away on his mission when I bought it, I would have been convinced he was stalking me. The coincidence was almost supernatural. Oh wait. His whole reason for marrying me is supernatural. Never mind. Quick backstory on Grandpa Gu. His late wife was superstitious. She had some fortune teller declare that baby Zhuochen had too hard a fate to live with his parents. So little Gu got shipped off to live with the grandparents. Grandma adored him, but she was sickly and passed away before he turned 10. That left Grandpa a rough, no-nonsense military man who believed boys should be tough. So Gu Zhuochen became the neighborhood tyrant, and as soon as he was old enough, Grandpa tossed him into the army. Result, a man with zero fear, zero chill, and maximum combat capability. Nature and nurture both said, create a weapon, and the weapon said, okay, but I'll also have anger issues. Grandpa, we're here. Gu Zhuochen announced our arrival at roughly the decibel level of a foghorn. The person who came out to greet us was not Grandpa. It was his dad. We can see you. Why are you yelling? Gu Zhuochen's father bellowed back, even louder.
Ah.
So that's where the volume comes from. Genetic. Then Dad turned to me, and his voice dropped to the gentlest, most welcoming tone imaginable. Yushu, we're all so happy you could come, night and day. Jekyll and Hyde. This family has two modes, maximum volume for each other, and indoor voices for guests. I leaned toward Gu Zhuochen. You didn't tell me your dad would be here. My brother and sister-in-law are probably here too. He said this with a tiny smirk. I'm sorry, what? The whole family? I thought this was a casual grandpa visit, not a full tribunal. Can I still turn around and leave? And whoever said Gu Zhuochen was estranged from his family was a liar. This was clearly a man whose entire clan had gathered to inspect his future bride like I was a rare Pokemon. The courtyard was small. A few steps and we were inside, a 2-story house with a spacious living room. Nice furniture, a 3-seater leather sofa, a coffee table, 2 armchairs with side tables. A beautiful middle-aged woman was sitting there, smiling at me like she'd been waiting all day. She radiated elegance, the kind of woman who makes you want to sit up straighter. You must be Yushu. I'm Xiao Chen's mother. She was around the same age as Mrs. Ling, but the vibe was completely different. Warm, direct, genuinely happy. The kind of smile that reaches the eyes. Hello, Auntie Gu. Then a young woman in military uniform emerged from the kitchen carrying a tea tray. Ramrod posture, sharp eyes, clearly military through and through. Have some tea. I'm Xiao Chen's sister-in-law. Thank you, sister-in-law. She hadn't offered her name, so I went with the family title. Safe play. Then Grandpa Gu emerged from his study, and the entire room's energy shifted. This was the patriarch. The gravity in the room literally reorganized around him. He was holding a palm-sized wooden box. Gift incoming. This body I'm in is 168 centimeters, tall for my age. I stood straight, looking presentable and non-threatening. This is Grandpa, Gu Zhuochen said. Grandpa. I made it sweet. Maximum granddaughter energy. The Gu family had no daughters. All sons, limited supply. So, a girl showing up was basically Christmas morning for them. Sit down, little one. Everyone sit. Grandpa's authority filled the room. Everyone sat. He noticed his eldest grandson was missing. Where's Shuaming? He'll be late. Something came up, sister-in-law answered. Grandpa pushed the wooden box across the coffee table toward me. Girl, Xiao Chen told me about you too. Since he's chosen you, you both better make a good life together. This is my meeting gift. Shuaming's wife got the same when she joined the family, so don't feel burdened. Gu Zhuochen snatched the box and shoved it into my hands before I could even be polite about it. Open it. I loved that about this family. Everything out in the open. No secret favoritism, no guessing games. What you get, everyone sees. I opened the box. Inside, a pair of jade bracelets, a pair of jade pendants, and a set of golden-laid jade earrings. Now, to untrained eyes, these looked like emerald green jade. Very nice. Very expensive. To MY eyes, my superpowered cheat code, see-through everything eyes, this wasn't emerald green. This was imperial green. The rarest, most saturated, most valuable shade of jadeite in existence. The green was so deep it looked like liquid, like the color itself might drip off the stone. This box, in future market prices, would be worth 8 figures. Minimum. And the 2 jade pendants were clearly meant as a his and her set. One for me, one for Gu Zhuochen. Matching. Couple's accessories from Grandpa. Cute and astronomically valuable. Thank you, Grandpa, I said, closing the box carefully. I'll treat these as family heirlooms and pass them down. I saw a flicker of approval in the old man's eyes. I just told him I knew exactly how valuable these were. No squealing, no ignorant gratitude, just quiet recognition and a promise of stewardship. Then Mom pushed over a velvet jewelry box and a savings passbook. The money in there is what Zhuochen gave us over the years. His father and I added 8,000. We did the same for his brother's wedding. Gu Zhuochen, operating as my personal gift-receiving assistant, grabbed both items and handed them to me. Open them. The passbook, 16,000 yuan total. 8,000 from Gu Zhuochen's military pay, 8,000 added by his parents. The jewelry box, the traditional 3 golds, except doubled. A pair of dragon and phoenix bracelets. 2 necklaces. A pair of rings. No wonder the box felt like it weighed 5 pounds. I wasn't even married yet, and I was already rich. This was like winning the lottery before buying the ticket. But wait. There was more. Dad Gu slid over a manila envelope. Property documents. A 2-courtyard Sihiyuan compound. 3 commercial shop fronts. Already transferred into both your names. I felt my brain short-circuit. Jade worth 8 figures. 16,000 in cash. Double gold jewelry. A compound. 3 shops. Were these people trying to buy me? Was this, welcome to the family, or, please never leave, here's your golden cage? Because either way, IT was working. I kept my face perfectly composed. 300 years of poker face training. Don't fail me now. Then I reached into my little leather bag and started pulling out boxes. Because I am not the kind of woman who shows up empty-handed and walks away loaded. I'd originally only prepared a gift for Grandpa. But now that the whole family was here showering me with generational wealth, I was not going to sit there like a charity case. Thank God I'd been shopping at flea markets while Gu Zhuochen was away. Thank God I'd processed and stored my finds in the pocket dimension. Thank God I am a paranoid overpreparer with 10 lifetimes of always have a backup plan. I pulled out 5 boxes. The Gu family stared. 5 boxes. This girl who supposedly had nothing, who'd been kicked out of her adoptive family with 1 suitcase and a backpack, just produced 5 gift boxes from a bag the size of a sandwich. I should probably be more careful about how much stuff I pull out of a small bag. But that's a problem for future me. I open the first box. Inside, the ancient copper coin. The one I bought for 2 yuan at a flea market. Grandpa, this is for you. The old man took the coin, held it up, studied it closely. And his face cracked into the biggest grin I'd seen on a military patriarch. Little girl, you've got good taste. A Tang Dynasty copper coin, these are nearly impossible to find. Boom. Bullseye. Direct hit to the old man's heart. Grandpa, I'm impressed you recognized it immediately. Most people would think it's just a regular old penny. His eyes lit up. Back in my day, I actually studied under a master collector. But I won't bore everyone with the old stories. They never want to hear it. I wanted to hear it. I absolutely wanted to hear it. But the man had already shut that door, so I moved on to gift distribution. Box number 2, a mutton fat jade bracelet. Warm, oily smooth, exquisite. I pushed it toward Mom Gu. Auntie, this bracelet suits your elegance perfectly. She picked it up and her eyes went wide. This woman knew her jade. You have wonderful taste, dear. Box 3, a dark jade hand piece for Dad Gu. I'd honestly struggled with his gift. What do you get a military father you've just met? I went with something he could fidget with. But before Dad could even touch it, Grandpa's hand shot across the table and snatched it. This is wasted on you. I'll play with it for a while. Dad's hand was literally still reaching for the box. Frozen in midair. Gift. Intercepted. By his own father. I felt a little guilty. Had I lowballed Grandpa's gift? He was now hoarding 2 of my presents. I dug into my bag and pulled out another box, because pocket dimensions are the gift that keeps on giving. This one had a mutton-fat jade handpiece with beautiful natural color markings, different from the dark jade, but equally premium. Since Grandpa likes that one, he can keep it. This one's for you, Uncle. Dad Gu looked stunned. Who brings backup gifts? What kind of teenager has a bottomless bag of ancient treasures? But he loved it. When he's thinking, he likes to hold something in his hands, the way some people smoke or some people twirl pens. This was perfect. Both Grandpa and Dad assumed Gu Zhuochen had secretly supplied me with all this stuff. Because obviously, where would a kicked-out teenage girl get museum-quality jade? Must be their capable son/grandson pulling strings behind the scenes. I was happy to let them think that. Better than explaining my magic eyeballs and interdimensional storage locker. The last 2 boxes, a pair of matching luxury watches. I'd originally bought them as collectibles. They were worth over 3,000 yuan on the current market. Not my most impressive finds, but perfectly respectable. Sister-in-law, these are for you and big brother. Sister-in-law, Zhou Mengyao looked genuinely surprised. You got us something too? I love them. Thank you, Yushu. She came from a good family herself and could spot quality instantly. But what touched her wasn't the price, it was the thought. I'd prepared gifts for everyone, including the couple I didn't even know would be here. Right on cue, big brother Gu Zhuochen walked in. Late, but carrying a manila envelope. This is my big brother, Gu Zhuochen introduced. Hello, big brother, he looked me over and smiled. So you're Yushu. My little brother has excellent taste. One sentence. Complimented both of us, simultaneously. This man was a politician, smooth as butter and twice as calculated. I liked him immediately. He stuffed the envelope into Gu Zhuochen's arms. Wedding gift from me and my wife. Gu Zhuochen opened it. Another shop. This one near Beijing University, 2 floors with a small courtyard in the back. Prime location. In an era where commercial property near universities was almost impossible to acquire. Gu Zhuochen gave his brother a suspicious look. Big brother touched his nose sheepishly. It's actually from your sister-in-law. I just did the paperwork. I mentally upgraded sister-in-law's future gifts. This woman had just given us a 2-story shop near the country's top university, and she wasn't even showing off about it. I was keeping a mental ledger, and sister-in-law just went to the top of my people to be good to list. Gifts exchanged. We settled into actual conversation. Easy, relaxed, getting to know you stuff. When the Ling family situation came up, I told them everything honestly. The swap, the fallout, leaving the house. But here's the thing. None of it happened to me. It happened to the original Yushu. So when I talked about it, I sounded like a narrator, not a victim. The Gu family interpreted this as me being incredibly mature and forgiving. She's already moved past it. What a big heart, they whispered. No, I just literally wasn't there for any of it. But sure, let's go with emotionally evolved. Lunch was prepared by the housekeeper with Mom Gu helping. Meanwhile, sister-in-law pulled me aside for a chat. As we talked, something personal came out. She and big brother had been married 2 years. They'd seen multiple doctors. Nothing wrong with either of them, supposedly. But she couldn't get pregnant. I don't know what it was about me that made her open up. Maybe it was my energy. Maybe it was because I was new and neutral. But she was clearly carrying this burden heavily, and she needed to talk. Sister-in-law, let me check your pulse. Her jaw dropped. You know pulse diagnosis? I put a finger to my lips.
Sure.
I haven't even told Gu Zhuochen about this. Her eyes went wide, then conspiratorial. Then I won't tell him either. I loved this woman.
Immédiate secret alliance.
Best sister-in-law. I took her pulse carefully. Across my previous lives, I'd studied medicine in several of them. Pulse diagnosis wasn't something I'd mastered like a grandmaster, but I was competent. More than competent, actually, just not ready to advertise it. Her body had issues, old injuries, lingering problems from her military service. She'd clearly earned her rank of battalion commander through blood and sweat. But none of those problems would prevent pregnancy. Which meant, sister-in-law, you have some old injuries, but they're not affecting fertility. The problem is probably with big brother. The hope that had just flickered in her eyes went out like a candle. She wanted a child so badly. Right on cue, Big Brother walked over. Perfect timing. Big Brother, I'm learning pulse diagnosis, and I need practice. Can I try on you? Sister-in-law caught on instantly. I couldn't say what I'd found in front of him, so I was creating a cover story to examine him.
Honey, just let Yushu try, she said.
Big Brother was clearly wrapped around his wife's finger. She asked, he agreed.
Done.
I took his pulse with my best, bumbling student expression. Concentrated. Nodded seriously. Then shook my head. I'm just a beginner. Can't tell anything useful. Sorry, total lie. I'd found plenty. I asked sister-in-law to show me Gu Zhuochen's room upstairs, cover for a private conversation. She understood immediately. The second we were in the room, I shut the door.
Sister-in-law.
Big Brother has been poisoned. It's a specific type that reduces the chances of conception. And even if you did get pregnant, the baby would have serious problems. Her face went sheet white. That's impossible. The doctors never found anything. This isn't something standard tests would catch.
Sister-in-law.
Has anyone in the family ever mentioned adopting? Or transferring a child from another branch of the family? I'd seen this exact scenario play out in previous lives. Big aristocratic families. Power struggles. Someone wants to be the heir, or wants their child to be the heir, so they quietly eliminate the competition's ability to reproduce. Classic dynasty move. The moment I said adoption, sister-in-law's face went from white to translucent. She knew. She knew exactly who would benefit from her being childless. Sister-in-law, you thought of someone, didn't you? I said, watching her face cycle through about 17 emotions in 2 seconds. And no, I'm just worried because I can't think of who it could be. Can the poison be cured? Nice try, sis. A normal person might have bought that. But I've lived through enough palace intrigue across multiple lifetimes to know a cover-up face when I see one. She absolutely knew who did it. She just couldn't bring herself to believe it yet. I didn't push. The poison isn't easy to cure, but I can do it. The bigger priority is finding the source. If they dose him again, his body won't hold up. I'll investigate quietly. Please keep this between us. She didn't want anyone to know. Until she had proof. She refused to accept that someone close to them would do this. I understood. Betrayal hits different when it's family. Sister-in-law, if you need help, don't hesitate. And just so you know, in a fight you might not be able to beat me. She blinked, then grinned. Oh really? Let's arm wrestle. So we arm wrestled. On Gu Zhuochen's bed. During my first official family visit. I destroyed her. Not barely won. Not, it was close. I put her hand down like she was a child. She was red-faced, straining with everything she had. I was sitting there looking like I was waiting for tea. Sister-in-law Zhou Mengyao, Battalion Commander Zhou Mengyao, who could out-muscle most men in her unit, just got casually flattened by a 17-year-old who weighs 110 pounds. Here's the thing, my body had been quietly upgrading itself. Every time I entered and exited my pocket dimension, the white mist seeped into me. I'd originally been going in to explore, trying to push past the fog boundary, but the fog was actually some kind of spiritual energy, and my body was absorbing it like a sponge. I hadn't even started my exercise plan yet, and I was already superhuman. The pocket dimension was basically a gym membership that works while you sleep. Yushu, I am seriously impressed. Sister-in-law was looking at me like I just revealed a second head. I gave her a playful martial arts fist salute. You're too kind. My goofiness was contagious. She cracked up, and her heavy mood from the poison reveal lifted considerably. We're sparring for real next time. Anytime, anywhere. I accept all challengers. I genuinely liked this family. In this era, most marriages were arranged through matchmaking. Mine and Gu Zhuochen's wasn't exactly traditional. It was more accidental bed-sharing leading to emotional blackmail leading to surprisingly functional cohabitation. But it wasn't blind either. We'd had time to figure each other out. Not that I'd ever planned to take responsibility for him. He latched onto me. Let the record show. Meanwhile, downstairs in the study, Grandpa pulled all the men together. He started by praising his younger grandson. Zhuochen really is a true Gu. He knows how to help his wife save face. Grandpa was convinced Gu Zhuochen had secretly supplied me with all those gifts, so I wouldn't show up empty-handed. Grandpa, those things were all hers. She found them herself. I had nothing to do with it. I was just as shocked as you. Sure. Stop performing. That girl had a hard time leaving the Ling family, we understand. I'm telling the truth. Gu Zhuochen was practically ready to swear an oath to the heavens. I have my own stuff, but the timing isn't right to bring it out yet. Nobody believed him. The irony was delicious. For once in his life, he was being completely honest, and his entire family thought he was lying to protect my dignity. Grandpa waved it off. Whether the stuff is from you or from her, if she really found all that herself, you've hit the jackpot. You'd better treat her well. All those rumors in the compound about her being spoiled and useless? Those people were blind. Here's where it gets interesting. Grandpa had secretly visited his late wife's favorite Taoist fortune teller. He'd had our birth charts compared. The verdict? A match made in heaven. But that wasn't all. The fortune teller said I had great destiny, that I could help Gu Zhuochen survive a death tribulation and bring good fortune to the entire Gu family. Death tribulation. Xuemei had mentioned that Gu Zhuochen would die on a mission within 6 months. Was that what the fortune teller was talking about? Either way, Grandpa was all in on me. He'd made his decision before I even walked through the door, which explained the avalanche of jade, gold, property, and cash. This wasn't a test, it was a welcome party. The old man was also sharp enough to understand what I needed most. Not love, not compliments. Security. A girl kicked out of her home with nothing needs to know she has a foundation. Houses and money aren't just wealth, they're the ground you stand on. He was giving me a floor so solid I'd never feel unsteady again. Crafty old fox. I respected it enormously. Then Grandpa dropped the bomb. Xiao Chun, your military marriage application should be approved by now. I've picked a date for the wedding. 3 days from now. 3 days? Even Dad Gu was shocked. That soon? I'd be staying in the city until exam results came out, and I needed to fill in my university preferences. There was no rush. Better to avoid complications, Grandpa declared. Once the bride is officially in the family, Xiao Chun can relax. Translation: lock it down before anything goes wrong. The Gu family philosophy on marriage was apparently the same as their military strategy. Move fast, secure the objective, establish defensive positions. Gu Zhuochen didn't even hesitate. Whatever Grandpa says. This man. His grandfather says you're getting married in 3 days, and he responds like someone just told him dinner's ready. Sure, sounds good. Zero pushback. He'd been waiting for this. Book a hotel. 8 tables. Important people only. Send proper invitations. Anyone without one doesn't get in. Grandpa had zero patience for social climbers and favor seekers. Done. Dad Gu was already mentally organizing. The man was a division commander. Event logistics was nothing compared to troop deployment. After the wedding, you and your wife live on your own, same as Xueming. Grandpa believed in equal treatment. Both grandsons, same rules. With business settled, Mom Gu announced lunch was ready. Sister-in-law and I came downstairs to find a table with over a dozen dishes. The smell alone was worth the visit. I ate without being picky. Everything was delicious and clearly made with care. I could feel how much thought the Gu family had put into this meal. Even so, I was still the smallest eater at the table. This body's stomach was a work in progress. After lunch, Grandpa officially announced the wedding date to everyone. The family sprang into action like a well-oiled military machine. Dad Gu, division commander, busy schedule, went to clear his calendar. Big brother, mayor's secretary, went to request leave and hand off responsibilities. Sister-in-law, battalion commander, went to handle her military affairs and start her private investigation into Big Brother's poisoning. Mom Gu, who'd stayed home to manage the household, would handle wedding logistics. She turned to Gu Zhuochen. You handle the big purchases, furniture, clothes. I'd pick things you wouldn't like anyway. Gu Zhuochen, in his most bratty son voice. Mom, if you do that, people will say you don't care about me again. Let them talk. Our family knows the truth. Last thing we need is people claiming you succeed because of family connections. Mom Gu was wise. She kept her distance precisely so no one could accuse her son of riding coattails. Grandpa chimed in. Anyone in your unit who actually works with you knows what you're made of. Ignore the ones who don't. Then he brought up the recent mission. You earned major merit this time. Promotion to Deputy Battalion Commander is practically guaranteed. So please stop causing trouble. And that's when I open my big, beautiful, 300-year-old mouth. Don't worry, Grandpa. Now that he has me, if anyone provokes him, I'll handle it. I guarantee zero impact on his career. Mom Gu spit out her tea. She looked at me. She looked at Gu Zhuochen. She looked at Grandpa.
Did
this tiny teenage girl just volunteer to be the Gu family's attack dog so her husband could get promoted in peace?
Yes.
Yes, she did. And she meant every word. Grandpa put on his stern face. You can't go around fighting people either. I immediately switched to good granddaughter mode. Yes, Grandpa. Whatever you say. Speed of personality adjustment. Instantaneous. 300 years of survival instincts. Grandpa needed his afternoon nap, and he was not the type to politely hint. If you stayed too long, he'd shoo you out like pigeons. Gu Zhuochen grabbed my hand. Let's go shopping for wedding stuff. Grandpa waved us off. Go, go. Literally swatting at us like flies. Mom Gu stayed behind to discuss some things with Grandpa. We headed out. It wasn't until we were well outside the compound that I realized my hand was still in his. This man had been holding it the entire walk, past the guards, past the neighbors, past God knows how many nosy military families. I yanked it back.
Hard.
He'd done that on purpose. Maximum public display, zero warning. Every busybody on that street now had fresh gossip to distribute. And then, because the universe has impeccable comedic timing, we ran into Ling Mom and Xuemei, right outside the gate. Arms loaded with shopping bags like they'd raided every store in the city. Xuemei shot me a smug look. Look at all my new stuff, her eyes said. I almost laughed out loud. The gifts sitting in my pocket dimension right now were worth more than the entire Ling household. If she knew, she'd cough up a lung. But I had manners. Specifically, I had strategic manners. Mrs. Ling. Shopping, I see. I said this loud enough for every eavesdropper at the gate to hear. And oh, they were listening. The Ling family drama had been the compound's hottest soap opera for weeks. Everyone wanted front row seats. Funny thing, those gossipy women who'd burst into the bedroom that first morning? Dead silent about the whole incident. Gu Zhuochen's name had sealed their mouths shut like industrial glue. But everyone else was desperate for fresh intel. Mom Ling's eye twitched at being called Mrs. Ling instead of Mom, but she had an audience, so she performed magnanimity. Oh, child. Why so formal? I did raise you, after all. I'd been waiting for this. I'm just following Xuemei's example. When she came back, she called my birth parents Uncle and Annie instead of Mom and Dad. She said she didn't want to hurt your feelings. So, I figured I should do the same. If I keep calling you Mom, my real parents would be sad too. Checkmate. I watched her scramble for a response. Every word I'd said was reasonable, considerate, and absolutely devastating. Mom Ling switched tactics. When did you become so sharp-tongued? I certainly didn't raise you this way. She put on her wounded mother face. Is it because you're marrying into the Gu family? You think you have leverage now? Do you really think the Gu family would accept someone like you? Gu Zhuochen stepped forward. Ice mode activated. Mrs. Ling, our wedding banquet is in 3 days. I was going to send your family an invitation since you did raise Shushu. But now I'm thinking, that won't be necessary. Silence. Then chaos. Every person who'd been casually strolling past at the speed of a snail suddenly stopped pretending. Little Gu, you're getting married? How did we not know? You kept this so quiet. Tell your grandfather to send us an invitation too. We watched you grow up. Boy, your taste is deadly. You snagged the prettiest girl in the entire compound. Who is it that said you didn't like women? I need to have words with them. They cost us a perfectly good son-in-law. Mom Ling was seething. Not only were people congratulating him right in front of her, they were calling me the most beautiful girl in the compound. Her daughter was standing right there. Was Xuemei invisible? Xuemei was thinking the exact same thing. She considered herself equally pretty. Thank you very much. But there they stood, mother and daughter, arms aching from shopping bags, watching me bask in free compliments while holding the hand of the compound's most eligible bachelor. Losing. On every front. Xiaomei tugged Mom's sleeve. Mom, let's go home. My arms hurt. Mom had told her multiple times not to tug sleeves in public. It looked petty and small town. But Xiaomei agreed fast and forgot faster. Old habits from the countryside. Mom blamed Xiaomei's rural upbringing, which made her resent my birth parents even more, which made her resent me even more. The woman had an impressive chain of displaced anger. Honestly, if I hadn't greeted her, nothing would have happened. We both disliked each other. Just pretend we're invisible. Walk past. It's free. But no. She had to engage. And she lost. Again. The mother-daughter duo speed-walked home with their shopping bags. Gu Zhuochen pulled me in the other direction. Behind us, the spectators were having a field day. The Ling family is going to regret this. Have you noticed? Yushu looks even prettier than before. It's not just looks, her whole energy is different.
More confident.
Sharper. Leaving the Ling family was clearly the right call. Those people don't know how to raise daughters. You're all missing the real headline here. She's marrying the Demon King. That tiny girl is going to marry Gu Zhuochen. We couldn't hear any of that, obviously. We were already gone. First up, home. I had an absurd amount of valuables on my person, and I was not taking jade worth 8 figures on a shopping trip. In my room, I stashed everything into the pocket dimension. Put the empty document folders in a locked drawer. Added some empty gift boxes for decoy purposes. Checked twice that nothing was missing. Then changed clothes. The Gu family visit had required my nice dress, a proper cheap how adjacent situation. But for shopping? Jeans and a white t-shirt. Comfort over fashion. I walked out and found Gu Zhuochen had changed into the exact same thing. White t-shirt.
Jeans.
We looked at each other. Did we just accidentally become a matching couple? Neither of us acknowledged this further. Moving on. Which room for the bridal suite? He asked. Your choice. 3 main rooms to pick from. Obviously the east-facing one. The one I was already sleeping in. We weren't sharing a bed anyway, so it didn't matter. My current room. Keeps up appearances. Want a new bed? You bought this one brand new less than a month ago. It's red wood. Why on earth would we replace it? I was increasingly certain this man had planned our marriage from day one. Who buys a brand new redwood bed for a house there? Just setting up? Premeditated matrimony. That's what this was. I made a list so we don't forget anything. He pulled out a piece of paper. I read it.
It was
thorough, detailed, organized. Every item categorized. Quantities noted. Stores identified. You already planned everything. Do I actually need to come? It was approximately 900 degrees outside. I could be home. Under a fan.
sleeping.
The things need to be ones you like. His logic was annoyingly unassailable.
Fine.
Shopping mode. Engaged. Of the traditional, big items for a wedding, I only wanted the sewing machine. I already had a watch, bought it myself, and a bicycle still new. For bedding, I picked festive red sheets and a decorative comforter, just for display on the wedding day. With his list guiding us, we tore through the shops with military efficiency. One afternoon, everything handled. The Jeep was packed to the ceiling on the drive home. I collapsed onto the bed the second we got back.
Dead.
Deceased. Shopping fatigue had claimed another victim. Gu Zhuochen cooked dinner and woke me up to eat. And lying there, being called to a home-cooked meal by a man who just spent an entire afternoon carrying bags without a single complaint. Something shifted in my chest. This whole marriage thing was exhausting. I never wanted to do it again, which meant, maybe I should just keep this one? He was handsome. He was thoughtful. In this era, finding someone who ticked both boxes was like finding a unicorn who could also cook. I sat at the dinner table, chopsticks idle, just staring at him. He felt my gaze and started looking uncomfortable. Why are you looking at me like that? Good question. I didn't have an answer. But I also didn't stop looking. Is there something on my face? Gu Zhuochen asked, genuinely confused by my staring. No, I said, completely deadpan. There's a saying that beauty can substitute for food. I was testing whether looking at you could replace dinner. I didn't even realize how flirty that sounded until it was already out of my mouth. 300 years old, and still no filter. His Adam's apple bobbed. And the verdict. I whipped my head toward the dishes and started shoveling food into my mouth at panic speed. My heart was doing something stupid, and I needed a distraction immediately. Obviously not. I mumbled through a mouthful of rice. Good looks can't fill a stomach. Sounds like I'm just not handsome enough. I refused to engage. The dining room fell silent except for the sound of two people aggressively chewing. After dinner, I dove for the sink. If he cooked, I washed. That's the deal. Fair division of labor between cohabiting partners. Plus, I needed to establish good habits now. Be the model wife before the wedding, then slowly reveal my true lazy nature after it's too late for him to escape. He's the one who insisted on marrying me. Buyer's remorse is his problem. Gu Zhuochen didn't go to the living room. He just stood there, watching me wash dishes, like it was entertainment. When I finished, he said quietly, I think you're pretty great. Let's make a good life together. My heart did that inconvenient warm thing again. Same, I said, keeping my voice casual. Not giving an inch. Whatever feelings were developing, filing those under, observe further before committing. I've died 10 times. I don't rush into anything, except flea markets. We unpacked the shopping haul, chatting between boxes. So, after results come out and you submit your university preferences, you'll head to the countryside, he asked.
Yeah.
Might stay a while. If my acceptance letter arrives, call me. I hadn't even considered asking him to come along. He'd just gotten back from a mission, no leave available. He was already burning his marriage leave on the wedding.
Travel light, he said.
Cash is more practical than gifts for your parents. He was worried about me traveling alone.
Sweet.
Unnecessary. I had a pocket dimension that was now approaching 10 square meters of fog-free space. But sweet. That's what I was thinking too, I agreed. The money mom gave you, spend it however you want. I also have investments in a friend's business. Private income. Are you flexing your wealth at me right now? If that's how you want to take it, sure. You're marrying a rich, handsome man. Not a bad deal. This man had graduated from, please take responsibility for me, to, you're lucky to have me in the span of 2 weeks. The character development was breathtaking. But underneath the bravado, I could tell he was being serious. He wanted me to feel secure. To know that money wasn't an issue. That I could spend freely, without guilt. He was also falling for me harder than he'd planned. I could see it in the way he watched me, like he was trying to memorize everything. Every conversation pulled him deeper. He'd admitted to himself that he wanted me permanently. Not just as a system requirement, but as a person. Here's a fun detail he knew, but I didn't. On the night of the original incident, the drug that knocked out old Yushu, she'd taken it herself. The plan was to drug second brother, but the idiot dosed herself instead and passed out. If Gu Zhuochen's system hadn't told him she wouldn't actually die, he would have assumed she was too stupid to survive anyway. He wasn't wrong. Also, something I didn't know. While the family was chatting downstairs earlier, he'd slipped out briefly and caught me taking Big Brother's pulse. He saw my hands, my technique, my focus. He knew that wasn't a beginner fumbling around. That was a professional. He'd been sitting on that observation all afternoon, waiting. So, I said, deciding to test the waters. Big brother and sister-in-law have been married 2 years. Has the family been pressuring them about kids? He gave me a loaded look. He thought I was worried about US being pressured. Which, fair concern, given that we had a strictly NO bedroom sharing agreement. Hard to produce grandchildren through sheer willpower.
Don't worry, he said.
You're still in school. The family will hassle my brother, not us. That's not what I meant. I'm worried about Big Brother. I only found out today from sister-in-law. She's been trying to get pregnant. They've both been checked. Doctors say nothing's wrong with either of them. His brain clicked. He connected the dots at terrifying speed. You found something when you took his pulse, didn't you? What makes you say that? I saw you do it. You looked like you'd done it 1,000 times. So much for my bumbling student cover story. Eagle Eyes over here had witnessed the whole performance.
Fine.
Cards on the table. Your brother has been poisoned. That's why sister-in-law can't conceive, he frowned. He's been to hospitals. Seen multiple traditional doctors. Nobody found anything. Then I guess I'm better than all of them. I said this with zero modesty and maximum confidence.
But
your grades were average. You barely left the house. Where did you learn medicine? Valid question. Annoying but valid. Time to deploy the cover story. You're underestimating me. My grades were average because I was spending my energy on other things. I secretly studied under an old traditional Chinese medicine doctor. Spent years reading medical texts at home. Nobody knew because I kept it private. I marched to my room and came back with several thread-bound medical books. Ancient looking. Authentic feeling. Completely purchased at flea markets for pennies. Here. Evidence. Still think I'm making it up? He looked at the books, looked at me, and immediately backed down. I never said I didn't believe you. These books look genuinely old. Keep them safe. Don't lose them. Smart man. He knew when to stop pushing. Outside these walls, he could be as aggressive as he wanted. With his partner? Flexibility. Accommodation. Pick your battles. I put the books away, satisfied with my performance. So, can you cure the poison? He asked. Then his eyes drifted to me, and I caught a strange expression, almost calculating. If Big Brother and sister-in-law had a baby, the family's attention would shift to them, which meant less pressure on us. Which meant more time before anyone started asking why we hadn't produced offspring. I'm doing this for you, his eyes said. How romantic. He wanted to cure his brother's poisoning so nobody would ask us about babies. Truly, a love story for the ages.
I can cure it, I said.
But don't you want to find out who poisoned him first? If we cure him, and the person just does it again, the next dose will make the damage permanent. It's that serious? I think sister-in-law already suspects who it is. Let's give her time to investigate. I shared what I'd observed, what I deduced, and what sister-in-law's reaction had told me. And right at that moment, across the city at the Zhou family residence, sister-in-law Manhwa was in her parents' room.
Confronting them.
The plot thickens. The poison plot, specifically. And I had a feeling this particular family reunion was going to be anything but warm and fuzzy. I wasn't there for what happened at the Zhou family house, but sister-in-law told me everything later. And boy, was it a doozy. Sister-in-law walked into her parents' room and went straight for the jugular. Dad.
Mom.
The poison in Shuaming's body. Was it you? Her mother slapped her on the back. What nonsense. How could you accuse your own parents? Her father looked like he was about to faint from the sheer disrespect. Sister-in-law's face was completely flat.
Dead.
Emotionless. I had the food you've been giving us tested. Mother Zhou fired back instantly. Impossible. That drug can't be detected with current domestic technology. And then she realized what she'd just said. Congratulations, Mother Zhou. You just confessed. Speedrun, any %. Seeing the jig was up, Mom dropped the act entirely.
Fine.
Yes, it was us. So what? Yao, when you got married, we gave you most of our family wealth as your dowry. Did you ever wonder why? You think Zhou family money comes with no strings attached? Sister-in-law's world tilted. She'd always thought her parents were just generous. Father Zhou laid out his master plan like a Bond villain who'd been waiting for someone to ask. Your brother is useless. He'll burn through everything we have. The only way to protect the Zhou fortune is to park it with you. But we need a Zhou heir in the Gu family. No pregnancy for you. We'll have you adopt your brother's illegitimate son instead. The boy is clever. With Gu family resources and connections, he'll go far. It's perfect. He was getting more excited as he talked, like he was pitching a startup to investors. We poison your husband just enough so you can't conceive, then install our plan in your family. Brilliant. And childbirth is dangerous for women. Mom added helpfully. We're protecting your health. Let me get this straight. These people poison their son-in-law, sabotaged their daughter's chance at motherhood, and they wanted her to raise her deadbeat brother's secret love child as a Gu family heir. And they thought they were being good parents. The Zhou family tree needed to be set on fire.
Sister-in-law was shaking.
You're insane. Yao, it's a small sacrifice for the family, Mom insisted.
Mom.
I am not you. That hit like a bomb. because the whole Zhou family dysfunction was a generational curse. Grandma Zhou had forced Mom Zhou to raise Dad's illegitimate son, the current useless big brother. Mom had hated it. She'd resented her mother-in-law's obsession with male heirs.
And now?
She'd become the exact same person, weaponizing her own daughter's body for the sake of continuing the Zhou bloodline. The old lady was dead now. Mom could have broken the cycle. Instead, she leaned into it like it was her destiny. Father Zhou snapped. "Don't talk to your mother like that." He was thinking about Grandma Zhou's deathbed instructions. Keep the wife aligned. Keep the plan moving. Without Mom's cooperation, the whole scheme fell apart. Sister-in-law's eyes went cold. Actually cold. Military-grade cold. "I married into the Gu family. I am a Gu. Just like Mom. You married into the Zhous and you live for the Zhous. Well, I learned from the best. I live for the Jius now. I will never adopt a Zhou child. And even if Shuaming and I can't have children, the Gu family has another son. You might be able to mess with my husband, but you think you can touch Gu Zhuochen." She dropped that name like a nuclear weapon. Father Zhou's master plan had a phase 2 that he hadn't revealed yet, marrying another Zhou girl to Gu Zhuochen, giving him control over both Gu brothers. But sister-in-law's next words blew that out of the water. "Oh, by the way, my brother-in-law is getting married. Day after tomorrow." She watched her father's face crumble in real time. "Don't even think about targeting him. He is not Shuaming. This is my warning, as your daughter. Last one." She walked out. On the stairs, she ran into her useless big brother. "Hey, cease." Leaving already, he was actually nice to her, in his own clueless way. But she was so angry at everything Zhou-related that she blew right past him without a word.
"Cease.
If anyone's bullying you, tell your big bro. I'll handle it." Behind him, Father and Mother Zhou had just come downstairs. The irony was so thick you could spread it on toast. Sister-in-law didn't go home. She went to the military base. She needed space.
She needed to think.
She needed to not be near anyone with the last name Zhou. And then, that evening, Gu Zhuochen got a phone call. Sister-in-law had been in a car accident. Broken leg. Hospitalized. We rushed to the hospital. Outside the room, I could hear someone practically having a breakdown. She ran into me. She just appeared out of nowhere. I swear it wasn't my fault. Nobody was even watching. If I wanted to run, I could have. But I stayed. Why won't anyone believe me? She literally threw herself at my car. I'm the victim here. The driver was some 20-something kid, and honestly, I believed him. His panic was too raw to be fake. Inside the room, sister-in-law was lying in bed, one leg in a cast, staring at the ceiling like she was contemplating the void. Face scraped up. Eyes empty. Mom Gu and Big Brother were at her bedside. I put down the fruit I'd brought and looked at her. This strong, capable, battalion commander woman, reduced to this. I knew exactly what had happened. She'd confronted her parents, learned the truth, and walked out into traffic without looking. Maybe not deliberately, maybe not consciously, but when your entire foundation crumbles, your survival instincts take a break. "Can I talk to sister-in-law alone?" I asked the room. Gu Zhuochen escorted the frantic driver outside. Mom Gu and Big Brother followed. Door closed. Just us. I sat beside her and said something I knew would either help or make her furious. "If I'd known this would happen, I never would have checked your pulses. Maybe you were better off not knowing. Maybe living in the lie was easier." That got a reaction. Her dead eyes flickered. "Yushu, I don't blame you. I just couldn't handle it. When there's a problem, you solve the problem. You don't solve it by throwing yourself under a car. Your body is yours. When you get hurt, the only people who suffer are the ones who actually care about you. The people who cause this, they don't lose a second of sleep." I meant every word. Across 10 lives, I've never once considered giving up. Even knowing I'd die before 30, every time, I still fought for every single day. Because the alternative was letting the universe win, and I am far too petty for that. I watched her expression soften. The emptiness retreated. Something alive came back into her eyes.
"Good," I said.
"Now tell me, who did this to you and Big Brother? If I told you it was my parents, Would you believe me? Sister-in-law's voice was barely a whisper. Yes, I said, gentle but firm. Why wouldn't I? Tell me everything. And she did. The whole sordid Zhou family conspiracy. The poisoning. The fake infertility. The plan to install her useless brother's illegitimate kid as a Gu family heir. All of it. I'd seen some messed up family dynamics across 10 lifetimes. Palace coups. Inheritance wars. Brothers poisoning brothers. But this, your own parents sterilizing your husband so they could plant their chosen successor in your family, this was a special kind of evil wrapped in a bow of, we're doing this for your own good. I couldn't hold back. These people call themselves your family? They're treating you like a tool. You can have your own children, but they'd rather you raise someone else's kid. And their reasons. Oh, they can't raise a decent son themselves, so they want the Gu family to do it for them? If everyone operated like this, society would collapse. But they're still my parents, she said, tears pooling. If I tell your brother, how will he look at me? It's because of me that he was poisoned. Oh. She wasn't just heartbroken. She was drowning in guilt. She loved Big Brother. They'd married for love, not arrangement. And she was terrified that the truth would destroy what they had. You have to tell him, I said. He needs to know so he can protect himself. I can cure the poison this time, but what about next time? If they dose him again, the damage could be permanent. I leaned forward. You're married. You're partners. Secrets like this are poison too, just a different kind. They'll eat at you until there's nothing left. Tell him. Let him decide how to handle it with you. Not for you. Not without you. With you. She stared at me for a long moment. Yushu. How are you this wise? You talk like you're 28, not 18. Half the adults I know don't think this clearly. Abort. I'd been too insightful. My 300-year-old brain was showing through my teenage face again. I read a lot of books, I said way too fast. Don't blame me for being all theory and no practice. She actually laughed. A small, watery laugh, but real. No, you're right. Everything you said makes sense. I feel us lost already. Yushu. Thank you. I grabbed her hand. Sister-in-law, we're about to be family. Your problems are our problems. This isn't just between you and your parents, it's the whole Gu family's business now. Then I added something important. And those assets your parents put in your dowry? Do not give them back. Your brother is a disaster. He'll burn through everything. When your parents are old, guess who's going to have to take care of them?
You.
That dowry is your future elder care fund, and it's staying right where it is. I could see it on her face. She'd been considering returning some of the money out of guilt. Classic good person move. Classic bad strategy. She nodded slowly. The guilt was loosening its grip. I opened the door. Big Brother practically teleported into the room. One look at sister-in-law, color better, eyes brighter. No longer staring at the ceiling like it held the meaning of life. And he shot me a look of pure gratitude. Mom Gu headed home to continue wedding preparations, which left Gu Zhuochen and me sitting on a wooden bench in the hallway, giving Big Brother and sister-in-law privacy to talk. Thank you, Gu Zhuochen said quietly. We're family. Don't be so formal, unless you're saying you don't consider me one of yours. That was deliberately bratty. But I delivered it with enough playfulness that he couldn't be annoyed. He looked at me differently lately. Before, I'd been like a still painting to him, pretty but static.
Now?
He said I'd become a living, moving, breathing work of art. Full of surprises, full of color, impossible to look away from. He was falling. Hard. And he knew it. But he also knew I still saw him as a business partner, so he kept his feelings tucked away like classified documents. Secure them first. Marry her. Then start the feelings campaign. Military strategy applied to romance. This man had one playbook. He was also genuinely scared I'd bolt. I was too independent, too decisive. If I decided to leave, no amount of jade or property would stop me. So he played it cool. Keep things comfortable. Don't spook the target. If you weren't family, you think I'd let you keep all those gifts? He reached over and flicked my forehead. OW, I slapped my hand over the red mark. We're not even married yet, and you're already committing domestic violence. That's it. I'm retaliating. I made a finger flick of my own, thumb cocked behind my index finger, and launched it at his forehead. He saw it coming. He could have dodged. He didn't.
Flick.
His forehead went red. Beautiful. Symmetrical justice. You just assaulted me too, he said, completely serious, staring directly into my eyes. And those eyes, deep, dark, pulling me in like gravity. Suddenly, I couldn't look away. There was something in there. Something warm and dangerous, and I snapped my head to the side.
Nope.
Not today. Not falling into that trap. Quick, brain, find a safe topic. My household registration. You didn't change my surname, right? My birth parent's surname was Lin. Close enough to Ling that it barely mattered phonetically. But my exam papers said Ling Yushu, and changing it now would create a bureaucratic nightmare. Didn't change it, he confirmed. He'd already thought of everything. My marriage application was filed under Ling Yushu. The name worked. The sound was close enough. And in a few days, I'd be on his household registration anyway. This man planned 3 steps ahead for everything. Terrifying in battle, terrifying in matrimony. Big Brother came out a few minutes later. Xiao Chun, help your sister-in-law check out. She doesn't want to stay in the hospital. Fair enough. A broken leg with a cast mainly needs rest. She could do that at home without the hospital smell and fluorescent lighting. Gu Zhuochen went to handle paperwork. I went in to help sister-in-law pack up. Big Brother followed, closed the door behind him. Private room.
No outsiders.
He got right to it. Yushu. Ling Yao tells me you can cure the poison. He'd heard the whole story from his wife. He was grateful but also confused. How does a teenager who barely left her house know advanced toxicology and pulse diagnosis?
He didn't ask, though.
Questioning me would imply distrust, and this man had better social skills than that. I appreciated his restraint. I wasn't about to explain either. I'll start with something to stabilize things, but the full cure needs a few days to prepare. We had a wedding to get through first. Priorities. Gu Zhuochen finished the paperwork, and we drove Big Brother and sister-in-law to their parents' house. Mom Gu was there and could look after sister-in-law's recovery. Shortly after we left the hospital, Mother Zhou showed up. She'd planned to stay overnight, playing the devoted mother, proving that family comes through when it counts. She found an empty room.
Oops.
The next day, one day before the wedding, I hit every pharmacy in the neighborhood, assembled the ingredients I needed, and spent half a day grinding, mixing, and shaping one single medicinal pill. Gu Zhuochen delivered it to Big Brother. Within hours of taking it, he felt noticeably lighter and more energetic. The medicine was working. Then came the awkward part. Mom Gu insisted that Big Brother deliver wedding invitations to the Zhou family. Because manners. Because protocol. Because even when your in-laws have been slowly poisoning you, you still have to invite them to your brother's wedding and pretend everything is fine. Big Brother went. Reluctantly. With the enthusiasm of a man walking into a dentist's office. The Zhou family drama was far from over. But right now, I had bigger things to deal with. Tomorrow I was getting married. To the scariest man in the military compound. While being a secret ancient reincarnata with magic eyes and a pocket dimension full of antiques. Just another Tuesday. The Zhou family had been sitting around for days, convinced sister-in-law was lying about Gu Zhuochen getting married. No invitation, no phone call, no nothing. They thought it was a bluff. Then Big Brother showed up at their door with the invitation card.
Oh.
It's real. He handed it over, and the Zhou family didn't even offer him a glass of water, which was fine by him. He wanted to be there about as much as a cat wants a bath. Delivered.
Left. Done.
Zhou Big Brother picked up the invitation, confused. I thought Gu Zhuochen didn't like women? And who's Ling Yushu? That name sounds familiar. His wife, who had exactly zero emotional investment in anything that wasn't her shopping budget, helpfully reminded him. That fake daughter story from the Ling family? You literally talked about it last week. OH. He's marrying her. Zhou Big Brother's brain finally connected. I heard she's pretty hot though. Not bad for a country girl. Father Zhou sighed. Too slow. His little scheme to marry a Zhou girl into the Gu family had been outpaced by a teenage flea market enthusiast. But he consoled himself. A mismatched marriage like that won't last. Just wait. Mother Zhou stayed quiet, but She could feel the chill from Big Brother's visit. Her daughter had clearly told him everything. But so what? That poison was undetectable and uncurable. Or so she thought. Wedding day. I did my own makeup. Light, simple. Bought yesterday while pharmacy hopping for Big Brother's antidote. Multitasking queen. Hair, pinned up. Accessory, red pearl flower. Dress, red lotus sleeve. Fold collar dress with matching red leather shoes. Was it a little tacky?
Yes.
Was it festive? Absolutely. I'd copied the look from a wedding I'd attended recently, when in Rome, wear what the Roman brides wear. The thing about being genuinely good-looking is that you can make anything work. Red made my skin glow brighter, my features sharper. I looked like a porcelain doll who'd decided to attend her own wedding.
No plans.
Gu Zhuochen wore a white shirt tucked into military green trousers. Simple.
Clean.
And devastatingly handsome, because this man could wear a potato sack and still look like he belonged on a recruitment poster. Long legs.
Sharp jaw.
Cheekbones that could cut glass. I snuck a couple extra glances. For research purposes. Having eye candy nearby really does improve your whole day's mood. He, on the other hand, just stared at me openly.
No sneaking. No subtlety.
Just full appreciation. Shushu, help me pin this on. We each had a fist-sized silk flower for our chests. His said, groom. Mine said, bride. I'd already pinned mine on. He needed help. Sit on the bed, I ordered. I was 168 centimeters. He was 188 centimeters. Standing, I'd be pinning a flower to his chin. He sat obediently. I leaned in, fingers working the safety pin through the fabric on his chest. From this angle, I could see the top of his head. His hair was buzzed military short, the kind of cut that exposes bad bone structure. On him, it just made his face look more perfect. Extra points for difficulty. My hand may have, accidentally, brushed across the top of his head on the way back. His hair was just as bristly as I'd imagined, like petting a very handsome hedgehog. He pretended not to notice. He checked his watch. Time to go. No bridesmaids.
No groomsmen.
No elaborate pickup ceremony at the bride's family home. Because what family home? I didn't have one. No in-laws to negotiate with. No door games. No tearful mother sending me off. Just two people driving to a restaurant together. Simple. Efficient. Honestly, preferred. We arrived around 9. Dad Gu, Mom Gu, Grandpa, and Big Brother were already there. Sister-in-law had been firmly told to stay home and rest her broken leg. She was not happy about missing it. Outside the restaurant hung a big red banner. Congratulations to groom Gu Zhuochen and bride Ling Yushu on their joyous union. 100 years of happiness. That was my idea, by the way. But Gu Zhuochen handled the execution, so everyone assumed it was his. He didn't correct them. Credit theft on our wedding day. Truly, a marriage built on solid foundations. Guests started arriving for the noon banquet. Upstairs, second floor. 8 tables in a large hall, spacious and grand. A long table at the entrance downstairs handled invitation checks and gift recording. Every guest received a return gift, 2 towels and 2 bags of wedding candy. Good things come in pairs, sweetness in every bite. Gu Zhuochen and I greeted guests at the base of the stairs. His parents handled the entrance. Grandpa and Big Brother managed the upstairs, assisted by a few of Gu Zhuochen's childhood friends. By 10:30, almost everyone had arrived. We headed upstairs. The ceremony started with Grandpa taking the small stage, about half a meter high, just enough to be seen. He gave a speech. Then Dad and Mom Gu. A short, warm, sincere. Then it was Gu Zhuochen's turn. He walked up to the microphone holding a piece of paper.
And he read.
A pledge. I, Gu Zhuochen, hereby enter into revolutionary partnership with Ling Yushu. I pledge to be as loyal to my wife as I am to my country. I pledge to surrender my full salary with no secret savings. I pledge that no matter how bad my mood or how foul my temper, I will never take it out on my wife. I pledge to share household chores after marriage. He kept going. I counted. 10 promises. This man had written a 10-point marital constitution and was reading it aloud to 80 people. The crowd lost it. I never knew Big Brother Gu had this side. This is incredible. Bro, you're ruining it for the rest of us. With standards like these, nobody will dare get married. You better follow through, or sister-in-law will kick you right off the bed. The laughter was thunderous. The atmosphere was pure joy. Then came the moment everyone had been waiting for. Gu Zhuochen and I stood on stage together.
Quiche, quiche, quiche.
Kiss. Gu Zhuochen glanced at me. I could see the calculation behind his eyes. If I go for it and she kicks me off the stage, I will never recover socially. So, I made the decision for him. I stood on my tiptoes and planted a kiss on his cheek.
Quick, light.
Butterfly wings. His ears went crimson. Doesn't count. On the lips. On the lips. One of his childhood friends was leading the chant. Gu Zhuochen locked eyes, with him like a sniper acquiring a target. Your day will come. And when it does, I will remember this. The friend clutched his chest dramatically. Bro, you just scared me out of ever getting married. At 11 o'clock sharp, the food arrived, and everyone finally left us alone in favor of the dishes. Thank God. There's no mob that food can't pacify. Grandpa took us around to toast his old friends. These were not ordinary people. I recognized several faces from the news. Government officials, military brass, people whose names appeared in policy documents. Good thing I'd prepared. Yesterday, while making Big Brother's antidote, I'd also whipped up a little something extra. Anti-intoxication pills. Gu Zhuochen and I both took one. Maximum alcohol resistance. Zero impairment. We could drink the entire wedding dry and walk out sober. Modern problems require ancient pharmaceutical solutions. I kept my toasts modest, small cups, and I told the distinguished guests to drink at their own pace while I downed mine. Respectful, but not pushy. You don't pressure a general to chug. One full circuit of toasts later, my face hadn't changed color. Not even a flush. I looked like I'd been drinking water the entire time. Then came the relative tables. Dad and Mom Gu led me around for introductions. Everything was going smoothly until we reached one particular table. I picked up the bottle to pour for a woman, and she slapped her hand over her glass.
Pour faire me?
You're not worthy. And just like that, the party got interesting. So there I was, holding a bottle of wine, about to pour for this woman at the relatives' table, and she slapped her hand over her glass like I was offering her poison.
Pour faire me?
You're not worthy. Lovely. Getting insulted at my own wedding. Off to a great start. Mom Gu's face hardened. This woman who won was supposedly her best friend. And by best friend, I mean a woman who'd been trying to marry her daughter into the Gu family for years. Here's the backstory. Mom Gu had actually considered it at one point. Then Dad Gu ran a background check on the daughter, and boy, multiple boyfriends. Multiple terminations. The girl had more exes than a tic-tac-toe board. Mom Gu was going to cut Huan off entirely, but the woman kept inviting her to her 3 sons' weddings, 3 separate gift payments Mom had to fork over. And Mom Gu had only collected back 1 gift from Huan for Big Brother's wedding. There was still a daughter waiting to get married, too. That's potentially 4 outgoing gifts versus 1 incoming. Mom Gu had been hemorrhaging money in this friendship for years. Today was the last straw. Huan, if you can't speak like a civilized person, get out. Huan pulled the wounded bestie card.
Hueying.
We've been friends for years. How can you talk to me like this? If it wasn't for this woman, she glared at me. Your son and my daughter would have been perfect together. Mom Gu looked like she wanted to baptize this woman with the wine bottle. Your daughter? You want to talk about your daughter's qualifications? That girl couldn't compete with my Yushu's pinky finger. Hueying. That's so hurtful. You hurt me first. Years ago. Then, as if summoned by the drama, a young woman materialized at the table. Huan's daughter, Tang Mi. She simpered at Mom Gu. Auntie he. Then she turned doe eyes on my husband.
My
husband.
At our wedding.
Brother Zhuochen, it's me, Tang Mi. Don't you remember me? Gu Zhuochen casually picked at his ear. Oh, I remember you. You're quite accomplished. My friend at the hospital says you visited his clinic twice for terminations. 2 different men, too. He said this quietly. but at a table of 8 people, quietly means everyone heard it with crystal clarity. The looks of disgust aimed at Tang, me could have stripped paint. She went white as a sheet, swaying like she might faint. And that's when my survival instincts kicked in. Zhuochen, Dad, Mom, step back. I physically retreated several paces. She's pregnant again. If she collapses and loses it, they'll blame us. All 3 of them jumped backward like I'd announced a grenade.
Huan was seething.
She'd been lashing out at me specifically because her daughter was pregnant again, and she was projecting her frustration onto the nearest available target.
But now, exposed.
Humiliated. At someone else's wedding. She grabbed Tang Mi's arm and shot daggers at Mom Gu.
He hueying.
We are done. Friendship over. That's my line. And this time, don't come crawling back. Fine. Then return my gift money from today. Mom Gu actually laughed. Sure. And while we're at it, let's settle all the accounts. I'll return today's gift, and you return the gifts for your 3 sons' weddings. Plus the value of everything I've given you over the years. Want me to calculate interest? Huan deflated like a punctured balloon. In this friendship, she'd always been the one taking. A full accounting would bankrupt her emotionally and financially. She grabbed Tang Mi and scurried out with her tail between her legs. Mom Gu turned around, and instantaneously, like flipping a switch, she was smiling warmly at me. Who does she think she is? Disrespecting Ling Yushu. The nerve. Ling Yushu. She said Ling Yushu. I'd been promoted from son's girlfriend to personal property in record time. The rest of the toasting went smoothly. After witnessing the Gu family close ranks around me like a military formation, nobody else dared make a peep. Meanwhile, outside the restaurant, Huan and Tang Mi were drowning in regret. We only ate half the banquet. What a waste. And you, why did you have to get up from the table? Mom, the bride was so pretty I needed to fix my makeup and reapply my lipstick. So Brother Zhuochen would notice me. He's married. He's not looking at you, but you always said no man can resist temptation. I think I've really burned the bridge with Hueying this time. Don't tell your father or your grandmother. See, Huan's entire social standing was built on her friendship with Mom Gu. Without that connection, she was nobody. She'd even tried to seduce Dad Gu once, which he'd never told his wife about, to protect her feelings. The Gu men were loyal to a fault. Huan's one achievement was producing 3 sons and a daughter, which made her mother-in-law happy. This inflated her ego to dangerous proportions, and she'd raised Tang Mi to believe she was irresistible. Tang Mi rolled her eyes. Mom, I'm not that dumb. She'd been using the Gu family name to impress her various boyfriends. Gu Zhuochen's public takedown had just nuked her social currency. Huan's brain was already spinning. This baby. You can't terminate it. The doctor said your uterine wall is too thin. One more procedure, and you may never conceive again. Gu Zhuochen was the ideal candidate. But now, what about Ling Yongming from the Ling family? She was shopping for a father for her daughter's baby the way normal people shop for groceries. Just browsing options. Comparing prices. Mom, it's not like they're lined up for me to pick from. He has to be willing. Leave that to me, sweetheart. Mama will arrange everything. Somewhere across the city, second brother Ling Yongming sneezed. He had no idea that a storm was heading directly for him, and he hadn't done a single thing to deserve it. Back at the Ling household, the atmosphere was glacial.
No invitation.
Not even a courtesy card. The family that had raised me for 18 years wasn't invited to my wedding, and Dad Ling was taking it personally. In his mind, he was allowed to reject me. But me rejecting him? Unacceptable. Second brother had an invitation. Gu Zhuochen had sent him one personally. He'd even taken leave to attend. But Dad Ling put his foot down. You go to that wedding and you're no longer my son. Second brother stayed home. Because even good people have limits when their father threatens to disown them. After the banquet, Gu Zhuochen and I brought Grandpa, Dad, and Mom to our courtyard house on Wudong Street. Big brother took food home to sister-in-law. Mom Gu walked through the gate and started nodding approvingly at everything she saw. This was definitely Yushu's work. I know my son's taste. He couldn't decorate a shoebox. Gu Zhuochen didn't even try to claim credit. In Mom's eyes, He was now the lesser child, the knockoff, the filler character. I was the main event. Only daughters-in-law are real family. Sons are just accessories. Grandpa spotted the reclining chair under the eaves. He lowered himself onto it, tested the rocking motion, discovered you could wedge a block underneath to stop it from swinging. Zhuochen, where did you buy this? Get one for your grandfather. Shushu made it. And Grandpa, that one's actually mine. It's my favorite spot for stargazing. There's another one. That one's smaller. It's Shushu's. Don't even think about it. Since the wedding, Gu Zhuochen had been calling me Shushu nonstop, and it was rolling off his tongue like he'd been practicing for years.
Smooth.
Too smooth. Grandpa's eyes lit up like a child in a candy store. She made this? What else has she made? Old man was going full, show me everything mode. Gu Zhuochen sighed and led him to my woodworking room. This was my crafting workshop, full of tools, half-finished projects, wood shavings, and the evidence of 10 lifetimes worth of carpentry skills. The room where I'd found gold inside table legs and turned firewood into furniture. Grandpa was about to discover that his new granddaughter-in-law was basically a one-woman IKEA with supernatural eyes and a pocket dimension. Welcome to the family, indeed. Grandpa was in my woodworking room like a kid in a toy store. Little chairs, folding tables, folding stools, and wooden animal carvings I'd whittled in my spare time. He was touching everything. His eyes got that faraway look. If there hadn't been a war, I would have made a fine carpenter. Grandpa, you studied carpentry? How did I never know this? Gu Zhuochen was genuinely shocked. Grandpa whipped around and glared at him with the fury of 1,000 suns. It was a figure of speech. You donkey. Did your education go straight through your skull and out the other side? You can't even recognize a metaphor? Then, muttering. Always ruining the moment. Not cute. Never been cute. Not once in his entire life. Gu Zhuochen lunged forward and clamped his hand over Grandpa's mouth. Grandpa, it's my wedding day. I have a reputation. If Shushu hears you, too late. I was already in a different room, biting my lip to keep from howling. Meanwhile, Dad and Mom Gu were touring the house with me. They peeked into the room next to the bridal suite, the one I'd set up for Gu Zhuochen. Nice furniture. Custom bed. Spacious. Dad Gu's face melted into pure paternal warmth. You two are so thoughtful. You even prepared a room for us. You really didn't have to. We won't intrude on your newlywed life. Mom Gu nodded, glowing. This was definitely Yushu's idea. My son couldn't plan his way out of a paper bag. I stood there, fighting the overwhelming urge to laugh. That's not a guest room. That's your son's bedroom. Because we don't share a bed. But you know what? This misunderstanding was beautiful.
Wholesome.
Heartwarming. And absolutely not something I was going to correct. Let them believe what makes them happy. Seeing the courtyard all set up like a real home put everyone at ease. Mom Gu summed it up perfectly. I never trusted Zhuochen on his own. But with Yushu, I'm 100% at peace. Then she got practical. Zhuochen is always at the base. You could set up at the military compound too, switch between both places so you don't get bored. You've got school ahead, so no rush on kids. But when you're ready, I'll help raise them. No pressure. Dad Gu addressed the other elephant. My birth parents. Zhuochen mentioned you're visiting the countryside soon. Rural areas are improving. It won't always be so different from the city. You said you want to go alone first before we visit, and we respect that. Just say the word when you're ready for us. He wasn't as smooth with words as Mom Gu, but the caring was genuine. These people were treating me like I'd always been theirs. On their way out, both parents handed me red envelopes. 1,000 yuan each. Grandpa added another 1,000. 3,000 total in wedding day pocket money. For context, an average worker's monthly salary was about 50 yuan. These people just gave me 5 years of a normal person's salary in red envelopes. On a Tuesday. But Grandpa didn't leave empty-handed. Oh no. The old man swiped my reclining chair, 2 small chairs, and 2 folding stools. Just loaded them into the car. Mine now. Thank you, granddaughter. Mom Gu also borrowed 2 small chairs. For when I'm prepping vegetables, she was so delighted she showered me with compliments. never once questioning how a teenage girl learned master-level woodworking. Her logic was simple. My daughter-in-law is brilliant. She learns everything instantly. One try, and she's an expert. Her assessment of her son. One try, and he's a disaster. I recognized the pattern. She was putting me on a pedestal by using Gu Zhuochen as a footstool. Classic mother-in-law power move. And honestly, I was fine with it. After everyone left, I took a shower. Summer heat plus a full day of wedding festivities equaled one very sweaty bride. Gu Zhuochen's clothes were practically dripping. I changed into a sleep dress, the kind with a built-in liner, and collapsed onto the bed with the fan blowing directly on me.
Door half open.
Brain off. I fell asleep hard. Gu Zhuochen came in and saw me sprawled across the bed, completely knocked out, sleeping like I'd been unplugged. The fan was whirring. The dress had ridden up from me, rolling onto my side, showing just a sliver of, let's say, the edge of propriety. Long legs. Curves. The works. He noticed I'd left a gap on the other side of the bed. He walked over. Lay down. Left exactly 2 fist widths of space between us. Any less, and we'd be touching. Any more, and he'd fall off. The breeze from the fan, the faint scent from my shampoo, the exhaustion from a day of socializing. Within minutes, his breathing evened out. The terrifying demon king of the military compound was sleeping like a baby, next to his wife, on their wedding day. Here's the thing, though. I woke up the second he walked in. After months of entering and exiting my pocket dimension, my 5 senses were superhuman. I could hear his footsteps, feel the shift in air, practically smell his intentions. But I kept my eyes closed and my breathing steady. From my position, I could see his profile. Perfect side angle. Sharp nose. Eyelashes so long and thick they looked fake, like crow feathers. Hands folded on his chest, sleeping ramrod straight like a soldier, even in unconsciousness. I closed my eyes again. Let him sleep. We woke up at almost the exact same moment, as if our internal clocks were synced. The sky was getting dark. Dinner was simple. I boiled noodles with eggs. Wedding day gourmet, ladies and gentlemen. After eating, we took a walk through the neighborhood, handed out wedding candy, and officially announced to the neighbors that yes, we were married, and yes, we were living together now. Legitimacy established. On the way home, something occurred to me. Wait, I never saw a marriage certificate. I kept it safe, his voice dripped with smugness. Grandpa Gu had pulled strings to get it processed before the marriage age law changed. You actually got a real certificate? I was skeptical. Caught the last wave of 18-year-old marriages. Just barely. I don't believe you. Show me, and then I'll believe it. I deployed the dimple. Left cheek. Maximum wattage. Plus the little white teeth. Full arsenal. He crumbled. Went to his room and brought out the certificate. I followed him in. It was a small red booklet, 3 pages. Our names, our information, and a black and white photo of the 2 of us. A photo I had zero memory of taking. You snuck a photo of me? This is confiscated. I snatched the certificate and bolted to my room. Behind me, Gu Zhuochen reached out in the most dramatic, soap opera, hand gesture I'd ever seen. Tactical error on his part. Who hands the marriage certificate to a flight risk? Good thing he had a second copy. He'd always planned to give me one. I'd need it for when I visited my birth parents. He just hadn't planned on me stealing it like a raccoon with a shiny object. That night, I slept in the bridal suite. He slept next door. Separate rooms. As agreed. Gu Zhuochen consoled himself with the thought that they'd at least napped on the same bed that afternoon. So the wedding wasn't a total formality. Silver linings. The man found silver linings in everything. Next morning, we grabbed breakfast on the street and headed to Grandpa's compound. But Grandpa had news waiting. I was about to send someone to get you. The base wants you back immediately. Military orders. Even your grandfather can't override those. Gu Zhuochen's face fell. One day. We'd been married for one day. I'll head back now. He turned to Grandpa. Shushu will be alone. Keep an eye on her for me. Then to me. Call me if anything happens. Or write letters. And when your exam results come out, tell me first. He reached over and ruffled my hair. One gentle pass of his hand over the top of my head. Then he walked to the door.
Stopped.
Turned around. I was glaring at him. I'd been watching him walk away and got caught. Busted. I did the only reasonable thing. I made a tiny threatening fist at him. Yeah, that's right. I was looking. What about it? He turned his back, raised one hand in a wave, and called out without looking, I'll miss you. And then he was gone. The house felt very quiet after that. Stupidly quiet. I watched Gu Zhuochen's back disappear through the gate and felt something twist in my chest. An actual, physical, inconvenient ACHE. What the hell? I was supposed to be relieved when he left. Freedom. Independence. No one watching me pull antiques out of thin air. This was the plan. Instead, I was standing here like a puppy watching its owner leave for work. Take care, I whispered, so quietly only the wind could hear it. What I didn't know was that somewhere in Gu Zhuochen's brain, a system notification was going off like a slot machine. Ding! Target's affection 5. Current affection level 30. For the continuation of your life. Please keep working hard. Bonus. Target said, take care. Awarded 1 life-saving card. Passively activated. Prevents 1 major disaster. This man was literally earning survival points from my emotions like a video game character farming XP. Every nice thing I said was adding days to his life. And I had no idea. I ate lunch at Grandpa's and headed for the bus stop to go home. On my way out, I passed Xuemei. Humph, she snorted through her nose like an offended horse. I walked right past her without a glance. Not worth the calories it would take to react. This made her even angrier. Her nose was practically sideways with rage. But she had a secret consolation. Second brother was on a blind date right now. In her mind, once he was married off, there'd be no one left to help me. And with Gu Zhuochen destined to die on a mission, I'd be a widow with 0 allies. Congratulations, Xuemei. Your evil plans are as charming as your personality. Meanwhile, in a private dining room across town, second brother Ling Yongming was sitting across from a girl he'd never met.
Im Tang Mi.
Like,
Honey, yep.
that Tang Mi, the pregnant one. The one whose mother tried to ruin my wedding yesterday. The one Gu Zhuochen publicly exposed for her multiple clinic visits.
That one.
Mom Ling and Xuemei had lured second brother here under false pretenses. Their logic. Marry him off fast, and he won't have energy to care about me anymore. Second brother figured it out instantly.
Saw the.
I didn't know this was a blind date. I'm not looking to settle down. He wasn't attracted to her. She was doing the whole, soft, delicate flower, routine, gentle voice, shy glances, helpless femininity, and he felt absolutely nothing. 0 chemistry. Like watching paint dry, but the paint was trying to flirt with him. Tangmi was confused. Her mother had promised that all men liked the fragile girl type. Was her intel wrong? Fine. Plan B. Waiter. 2 bottles of soda, please, she ordered fast before he could escape. Second brother was about to leave, but she'd already ordered drinks. Walking out now would be rude. Manners were going to be the death of this man. She pushed a bottle toward him. It's cold. Very refreshing. Have some. Sensing his hesitation. Don't worry, I'll make you pay for it. You're drinking something you bought. That line disarmed him just enough. He opened the bottle and drank. Ice-cold soda on a scorching day. Delicious. Refreshing. Absolutely drugged. He didn't finish the bottle before his head hit the table. Out cold. Tangmi poked him. Ling Yongming? Ling Yongming? Ling Yongming? Confirmed unconscious. She felt a surge of accomplishment, which says everything you need to know about this woman's moral compass. She ran outside and fetched her mother, Huan, and her uncle, Huan's brother, who'd been waiting like a kidnapping relay team. Then she scurried across the street to a motel where Mommy Dearest had pre-booked a room. She checked her surroundings before going in. Classic guilty person behavior. Looking left, looking right, practically wearing a sign that said, I am up to and oh good. In her panic, she didn't notice someone watching. That someone was me. I was walking to the bus stop when I spotted Tang Mi skulking into a motel, like a criminal returning to the scene. My first thought, this pregnant woman is out here booking motel rooms in the heat? Has she lost her mind? This is literally grave dancing levels of self-destruction. Then I saw Huan and some random man dragging a familiar figure out of the restaurant. Second brother. Unconscious. Being hauled toward the motel like a sack of rice. My brain assembled the puzzle in approximately 0.3 seconds. Drug the man. Drag him to a room. Put pregnant daughter in the room. Create a compromising situation. Force marriage. The exact same playbook that the original Yushu tried. Except somehow even dumber, because at least old Yushu drugged herself by accident. These people were doing it on purpose and in broad daylight. Now, if this were some random stranger, I might have walked past. Harsh? Maybe. But you can't fix stupid. If someone is dumb enough to get trapped like this, saving them once just means they'll fall for it again next time. Because stupidity? That's terminal. No pill for it.
No cure.
No ancient remedy in any of my 10 lifetimes. But this was second brother. The one person in the Ling family who never stopped caring about me. So yeah, I was saving him. I scanned the area and spotted a middle-aged woman with a red armband walking past.
Short.
Chubby. Bowl cut. About 5'2". One of those neighborhood patrol volunteers who takes her civic duty very seriously.
Perfect.
I grabbed her arm.
Mom.
See those two people carrying that man? That's my brother. They drugged him, and they're trying to stuff him in a room with their pregnant daughter to force a marriage. I'll give you 10 yuan to stop them. She looked at me. Why don't you go yourself? Because you've got the armband. You've got authority. You're clearly a person of justice and righteousness. A good person. And good people deserve good things. I stuffed the 10 yuan into her hand while delivering this speech with maximum sincerity. She weighed the money, weighed the compliments, and reached a conclusion. Refusing this would be morally wrong. Girl, you've got a way with words. Consider it done. She tucked the cash into her secret waistband pocket and launched herself at Huan like a heat-seeking missile. In broad daylight. Where are you taking that young man? She grabbed Huan's arm with a grip that could crush walnuts. Huan nearly jumped out of her skin. Then she saw the armband, and her soul left her body. Sister. He's my nephew. He drank too much. I'm just getting him a room to rest. The patrol lady leaned in and sniffed second brother. You think I was born yesterday? He doesn't smell like alcohol at all. And if he's your nephew, why aren't you taking him home? Her voice was a foghorn. People materialized from every direction. A crowd formed. Huan's brother started shaking. The 30 yuan his sister had paid him suddenly felt like it was burning a hole through his pants. His grip on second brother weakened. Someone bumped him, possibly me, possibly the crowd, who can say, and he stumbled forward. Second brother's body slid to the ground. In the chaos, I darted in and pressed 2 acupuncture points on his body.
Hard. Precise.
Wake up now, pressure points. His eyes flew open. I vanished into the crowd before he could see me. Second brother came to on the ground, outside a motel, in his military uniform, surrounded by strangers. His face went through confusion, calculation, and then icy cold fury as the situation registered. Cold sweat. Full body. Who brought me here? His expressionless face was genuinely terrifying when he wanted it to be. The patrol lady immediately pointed at Huan and her fleeing brother. Those two. She said you were her nephew who drank too much, but I smelled nothing. I knew they were up to something shady. Then she switched to her sweetest, most maternal voice for second brother. Young man, tell this auntie. What really happened? Huan was scrambling. I saw you faint. I was just trying to help. I thought it was heatstroke. Really? I had good intentions. Good intentions. The patrol lady wasn't having it. 2 minutes ago you said he was your nephew. Now, he's a stranger you were helping? Pick a story and stick with it. Second brother stared at Huan with the dead eyes of a military man who has just realized he was almost trafficked into a shotgun wedding. This was going to be a very long afternoon for Huan. And I was already on my bus, heading home, whistling.